On the way, the armored vehicle that most of the law enforcement agencies have around these.
GMC Sierra. It's the truck. Or just in time for the holidays, get $8,000 total value for current eligible GMC owners. That's 15% below MSRP on select 2023 Sierra models.
Police officers' lives here. Maybe that's on.
Quite some time. About 12:40 is when Doug was telling us they started to hear scanner chatter. That's what we call it here in the business. We listen to all of these scanners that involve police, EMS, and the choppers for law enforcement and what have you. So we hear this chatter of some chase giving way is the words that law enforcement use. And so it started off as a very, very slow chase in progress over on the East Tex Freeway.
And it
We're
just
talking
got slower.
5 miles an hour. That's pretty slow. So that's why a lot of us were wondering, is there something more to this? Could something have happened to the driver?
We're just getting, in fact, I'm just seeing it now. Thanks, guys. This tweet coming in from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez here, Myra. There it is on the screen. Units, pretty much what we knew already there, Myra, but a little bit of new information.
Yeah, just a little bit more. And again, sometimes it takes a while before we get the exact details of a situation, because just as we're making calls, the sheriff's department is working their angles and what they have to do.
Working the
cautiously.
angles.
And you said it correctly earlier too. It takes time sometimes to figure these things out. Even for the folks there who are there on scene, you don't necessarily have direct contact with the driver here, so you don't know if there was a medical issue or some other thing happening. So it just takes time, and certainly for those who are joining us, we appreciate your patience. As Myra was saying, this started as a low-speed chase. We did have, we're working on turning that clip for you here so you can see just how slow it was going, and then it just sort of ended there on the far left shoulder of the eastbound lanes, right, Doug? Yeah.
Just to jump in real quick regarding the information coming from the sheriff's department, many of the situations that we deal with is usually a phone call to dispatch saying I need help, a 911 call of something going on. In this case, which we don't know exactly, we don't know if deputies came across this and tried to initiate a stop, or if there were folks calling into the sheriff's department to say, hey, there's a situation going on and deputies need to come out there. But whatever the situation is, at this point, it has kept the dispatch office from having a great amount of detail to provide to us at this point. But obviously, they're providing what we were able to tell you so far regarding the shutdown and the active situation of what's going on here. But that is something that as commanders are on scene are able to provide more information back to the command central, then the public information officers will get that information out to us so that we can get it to you in the public. But obviously they feel that this was a situation dire enough that they needed to shut down traffic in both directions to make sure that public safety is top of mind in this situation, and that this has the freeway situation out here now locked down for about an hour and 20 minutes now. Just kind of roughly doing the math on the time here of how long this has been going on. Sky 13 will be overhead for just a little bit longer to give us the live pictures of what's going on here as well.
Yeah, Doug, and thank you so much for providing all of that information for us and giving us directions once again earlier, because I know folks maybe are about to head out and they said, oh goodness, I was about to take this route. Try to reassess your situation if you can. Maybe you stay home before you hit the road, because again, this is going to go on for quite a while. If this driver has not been able to get out within the last, we've been here on ABC13.com for an hour already. If that driver has not gotten out of the 18-wheeler by now, who's to say how much longer this is going to go on for. But we did hear that the driver was waving at law enforcement, so maybe that's a good sign, maybe something positive.
Certainly something in the right direction. At least there is some sort of communication, even if it's just body language communication, if you will. And certainly it gives you some indication as to the person is conscious breathing, that sort of thing, which is another term that we sort of hear on the radios a lot, right, when dealing with this. But there's a lot of unknowns about what the next step is. And again, thinking about the major impact that this is having to traffic and to people who are on the roads. We know this is a busy travel time. may sound goofy, but if you know people who are coming into town or going out of town, give them, text them, call them, say, hey, listen, you do not want to be stuck in this, and you're going to be going, you're going to be sitting in this if you land in this. You need to find the alternate route for sure, and give them the heads up.
Yeah, and again, I feel for those folks that are in the middle of all of this, because they will be stuck there for a while.
Those poor folks on the corner, the bottom right corner there, they have been sitting there and not moved
for an hour and about 20, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, they have just been stuck. And not been able to go anywhere at all. A couple quick housekeeping notes, Myra. I know you've got to cut in on the TV portion in 10 minutes. So for our audience who are watching us on the stream, I'm going to step away for a brief moment and let our colleague Nick Notario step in as well. By the way, you continue to do just a phenomenal job here, Myra, and I know that the folks at home appreciate what you're doing for us.
We were hoping for a slow day today, this holiday week, but Houston's a big city, and you just don't know what you're going to get.
True.
So yes, as you continue to stay here with us on abc13.com, in about 9 minutes or so, I have to do what we call a cut-in, which is basically we cut into programming and we update folks at home via TV, the latest headlines and news. And of course, with the situation going on, this will be our top story that we will inform everyone at home if they're watching ABC TV, not abc13.com. So we appreciate you guys for joining us here, whether it's on your phone, if you're streaming with us and whatnot. So here with me now, my colleague, Nick Notario. He's suiting up, if you will, plugging into our microphone and all that good stuff so that you can sort of be my wing person as we get through this breaking situation that has been going on for quite some time. Good for you. Then you would not be here with me helping us out with this. I mean, Nick, we've seen these situations before. And again,
recently there was an 18-wheeler chase, not about a month ago or so?
Last month, it was November 8th, I believe.
And so this one a little different though, because that one, the truck, the cab was moving all around and everything. This one's just kind of stationary here for a while.
Yeah, and so this person has been behind the wheel of the 18-wheeler for at least about an hour or so since we first saw that they sort of parked, if you will, on the side here of the East Tex Freeway, and has, according to the sheriff's office, refused to come out. That's from a tweet that he just sent out not long ago. But again, we've been talking about this, Nick, and we don't know the exact situation, if maybe this person had some sort of medical episode and can't get out for some reason. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Because the wheels, I was told the wheels were spinning. The car,
yes.
the 18-wheeler was stopped, yet the wheels were spinning. I don't know if they're still spinning.
It may have burned out.
Nope.
You can still see it.
Oh yeah, so a wheel is still spinning there.
Yeah.
So that's why it could possibly be a medical episode, maybe.
Possibly.
That. But you said that there was something posted on social media.
He's
that
waiting.
The driver won't come out.
The sheriff's department. So if we can read this tweet for you once again, if you're just joining us here on abc13.com, a lot going on. So we want to bring you up to speed. This is the tweet here. So this is Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. He says units are on the eastbound, outbound main lanes of the East Tex Freeway, which is what we have been seeing for the past hour and a half. This is at the 15,900 block just east of Sheldon. He says units were pursuing, and then he says at a very low rate of speed, an 18-wheeler that was refusing to stop. That's where that information comes from. He says the driver has now parked on the main lanes and is refusing to exit. Again, coming from the sheriff. He says all lanes in both directions are temporarily shut down. So again, an extremely huge traffic nightmare that probably will not end anytime soon.
Is that the main lanes though? Where is that? Is that a shoulder?
They parked on the shoulder now, but initially started in the main lanes. Yeah. So now both sides are blocked off, and we've been seeing a lot of the deputies standing off to the side, sort of just waiting. But you see one of the patrol cars, 1140 here. You see it there, and you have the officer sort of just standing behind and waiting.
Sorry about that.
They have to assess the situation. Our news director, come on in.
Sorry, Myra, we were going to have you go to the studio.
Oh, the cut-in, yes.
We'll have you come back just a second.
Okay. All right, guys, so I'm unplugging and I'm doing this breaking into programming. So, Nick?
Okay, that's okay if you do, Keaton. If you step in front with some breaking news. Okay, all right, so we do have we got some new video that was just in the newsroom here of the end of the chase. So we're going to go ahead and try and pull that video up right now. You're taking another live look of the situation. But okay, I see the video here now. We're going to put over here on the screen. There it is right there. So this is video again of the end of the chase that happened not too long ago. You can see the authorities, and they had posted on social media that they were chasing this 18-wheeler at a slow rate of speed. You can see it right there on the screen as that 18-wheeler is coming to an, looks like to an end there, as we know it did, because it's parked on the East Tex Freeway. So this, like again, this is the end of that chase. You can see there's the 18-wheeler there in the shoulder of the freeway, and you can see the sheriff vehicles, the deputies trailing it. And so again, this is our new video that just came into the newsroom, and you can see the wheels down there in the front of the cab. Also, appears to be the wheels are down in the other part of the cab as well, as the sheriff deputies are chasing this video. And is this the first time that you're seeing this video, Keaton?
This is the video that we were seeing. I'm so sorry. I grabbed Myra's mic, but I wasn't sure if it was on. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Nick, this was what we were seeing just as Sky Eye was coming up to the scene a little earlier.
We're going to be getting out of
The
here.
reason that we wanted to show this to you was a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, you see that there was a time where traffic on the other side of the freeway was flowing. It was slow, but it was flowing for sure. And even when they got it to a complete stop, it took a minute or two for it to demonstrate the unusual nature of what happened here. We saw the semi. This was sort of the angle we got as we were coming up to it. Very slow, certainly didn't seem aggressive or going all over the lanes, but it also had that sense that it just was sort of moving along and just without any input from the driver is what it certainly seemed like there for a little bit, until the wheel cut too hard. And then we could see the back wheels continuing to spin, which of course has been a great question for us about how or why that particular thing was happening. But it had gone on for long enough that they were able to clear the freeway in that way and get everybody off in front of it, and then clear it there behind as well. So.
And I'm just walking in. Do you know how long this chase has been going on?
We've been on this for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Doug the extraordinaire has been listening to this thing for some time. He's talking with the chopper now, but he has been overhead and been listening to this for probably, I'd say, about 2 hours now.
Okay.
And trying to figure out exactly what was going on and where this thing was going. But it's just unusual on so many levels. It's the perfect breaking news Houston story that we see here so often. Because not only does it involve a chase of some kind, or at least a pursuit, it seemed, but it's that of a semi. And
as for the initial traffic stop, you can really see look at how flat those tires are. There's not even any tread left on the front tire.
Still going here.
Yeah, so this has been still spinning. And that makes me wonder, is the driver's foot just on the pedal?
Yeah.
Are they still conscious?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're not going anywhere at this point, but we just don't know their condition, and we don't know who it is or what led to this. We are thankful that this ended without, any type of crash or incident. Like, it looks as though this truck was able to pull over off, the road there safely to the side. But they, have immediately had all traffic in both directions just blocked off since then to keep people safe.
Yeah, and to your point, this is coming to an end in some way, shape, or form at this very location. If you look at these two officers on the bottom right-hand portion of your screen, at least one of them I can make out has their weapon drawn. Not sure what type of weapon it is, or if it's another one of those like a canister, like one of those smoke. One of those guns that can really. What am I looking for here?
Like a smoke bomb?
Like a smoke bomb or something that kind of go inside of the semi. But these two officers have their weapons drawn, it looks like.
Yeah.
But then as you look behind here, you have the 4 officers, and I don't want to exactly give a characterization for what they're doing, but they seem to be, by all accounts, body language wise, that this is under control. So they're kind of just waiting this thing out as well. Like you mentioned, and this really makes me think back to a couple of weeks ago. We had that other 18-wheeler in that chase that took place where, that guy went all through multiple counties: Fort Bend, Harris County, Montgomery County. And when we were talking to police officers during that chase, one of the difficult things in that situation they were assessing is using the spike strips and when is the appropriate time to use it, because apparently you can't use spike strips everywhere in any given time.
Sure, you don't
have
want
to
the wrong
assess it.
cars to
Exactly.
be getting, yeah.
Exactly.
And you can see, down here at the bottom of your screen, we've got, what are probably some of the people who work in these offices and buildings here on the side of the road, kind of milling around. Because this has been going on for a little while now with no activity. Really seeing these 4 officers outside the vehicles. We haven't seen a lot of officers with boots on the ground. They've kind of stayed in their vehicles. There were a few surrounding that front vehicle for a little while, and you can see they do have their, guns drawn, and they're watching that very closely. And it's, if you take a good look at that cab, you can't really see too much. I mean, it's a lot of metal with not a lot of windows. So you can't really see too much about who or what may be going on inside there.
Yeah, I was really trying to see if I can get an idea of like where this truck at least is registered as far as the license plate. If it's through Texas or maybe one of the neighboring states like Louisiana or something like that. And this is just a transient, 18-wheeler going from point A to point B. But nevertheless, again, as we look at these officers here, they seem to be heading to the back of the truck, no longer have their weapons drawn. We're watching that closely. What is a transient? Because I think that might be a decent indicator of what is that? Or at least repositioned, I should say, because now they're at the back of that squad car. But again, police we did see, as you mentioned, Heather, some green smoke that came out of that semi in the front portion of that cab right there. We don't know the identity of the person, whether it be male or female or where they're going. A lot of the information we're getting from police is just more so advisory, just letting the public know the basics as far as what initiated this, and that was a traffic stop. If you're just now joining us on any of our digital platforms, this started with as officers tried to initiate a traffic stop, and then this is the end result, officers using spike strips to then bring this 18-wheeler to a stop. We know this has been going on. Heather, how long would you say this has been going on?
It's been going on for
2:24?
over an hour, maybe hour 15, hour 20.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit after 1 when we started hearing about the chase that began.
Shit's going wild,
we just knew it was going down. Texas, this is I-10 eastbound, by the way, at Sheldon in the Channelview area. And
New Jersey. If you need health insurance, open enrollment is here. Get Covered New Jersey is offering quality, affordable health coverage with increased plan choices.
As they're comfortable to be moving around safely through the area. And you can see over here on the left part of your screen, this officer is crossing over on the westbound side, and I'm wondering if maybe some of them are repositioning to take whatever the next steps are to try and get who's ever inside this truck out.
And when you talk about a chase in a scene like this is a multi-agency situation, and as far as I can tell, I see more so the constable's office kind of on the ground. But whenever we have a scene like this, we know that they can call in other agencies to bring in their SWAT teams, and this can turn into a much larger situation. But as of right now, they seem to have it under control. It's not in the frame right now, but there is an ambulance nearby as well. And we also have Abigail Dye, who is heading that way, just to give us an idea of what's happening on the ground, because we can assess, thankfully, through Sky Fox and some of our other police and law enforcement sources, what is happening, but we really wanted to get a reporter on the ground, and then we did run into some obvious traffic issues here because police, really tranced our camera here at I-10 East at Cedar Lane, really making things
kind of clog
safer for
things
them
up a
as
bit.
they try to get this thing come to a close, but also they've got to reroute traffic here to make sure they can do their jobs. So Abigail had a couple issues, but we're going to be on the ground here momentarily, and as soon as we get her camera up and she's got some more details from folks on the ground, because whenever a situation like this is unfolding, a lot of the times too, witness accounts, that goes into a lot of our reporting as well. So we're hoping to get a chance to speak to some folks on the ground.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing, several folks that probably work in this area that are, out kind of looking around. So I'm sure she'll be trying to talk to some of them about what they saw, about what happened.
And if you're just joining us, kind of give you guys a brief recap here of how this all took place. So this is the basically I-10 eastbound, just east of Sheldon. According to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, the units were pursuing at a low rate an 18-wheeler that was refusing to stop. The driver has now parked on the main lanes and refuses to come out of that car. So police also told us that they were using spike strips. And if we give you guys a closer look, you can't see, might not be able to have the best vantage point from this far out, but when we zoom into that 18-wheeler, you can see the spike strips basically pop several tires on the front, and all you see is the rims there on the front portion of that 18-wheeler. So this will come to an end. Whether police have to go in and take this driver out, or the driver decides to come out on their own volition, that's going to happen.
We're finally getting a picture now from Skyfox, a little wider, seeing some of the traffic. You know, this is a good sign. We're seeing a little more traffic moving around the area, because there was a time when we weren't seeing any traffic move at all.
Anything. And we have tons of phone calls out. We reached out to Channelview, PD, or HPD, any source that you think of, we have reached out, and everyone's keeping things pretty close to the chest right now. But as soon as we get some more details, we'll let you guys know, because a lot of our, we're just kind of assessing the scene with you guys here in real time. And, you know, if you know someone that works in any of these buildings at this deluxe inn and suites here, if you know someone that works there, have them give us a call. We would love to talk to someone that's on the ground there. Let us know what the scene is at some of these businesses that are, by all accounts, still functioning. They didn't plan on having a situation like this where they won't be able to conduct business as usual, but we have seen people on the ground, so we know that people are at these places of employment. So if you know someone that's there, or if you're there now and you're watching on fox26houston.com, or even on Fox Local, and you want to give us a call, let us know what's going on, what you can see, what you can assess, what you've witnessed.
That goes out for anyone.
Well, this is Guy Fox.
Jump in the chat. Let me know you're there.
Of I-10 here, giving us a different vantage point.
Yeah, this is the closest that we've seen. He was on the cab just a second ago. Hopefully there we go. So that's kind of the closest view we have had of the cab so far, but it's still so difficult you can't really see in through the windows to see what may be going on inside or who's inside.
Hey, just
now
park
there's
there,
let's see if we can get the name of there's a website that's on the back.
I think it was designtransport.net.
Okay, and then there's another design logo there.
Transport. So I'm going to kind of get on the internet here and do some digging myself. So Design Transport, okay. Just heading to the website that was on this cab. It says Design Transport opened in 1989 with a single truck. Have you able? I can't make it out. It's not exactly clear.
Okay, so yeah, I'm wondering, to me, is it possible there's a second person in the truck? Or is that maybe a reflection?
Well, you know, sometimes,
we don't know.
I don't want to make a
pepper balls.
A call on what may or may not.
Yeah.
It's just hard to make it out.
You can see, okay, we're getting the first sign. See the green on the window?
Yeah.
That's probably from the green smoke, we have to assume. And you can see that window is broken.
Nah, the Joker was
I wonder if that
out.
was them throwing a a green smoke bomb into the cab, and they did it 3 times. And you can see there are green spots on the roof of the cab as well. And gosh, you can see when you look closely at that, that's just the rim of the tire that's left, completely flat.
All right, so that really helped us. That gave us a nice. This seems to be.
Is the back wheel still
another
spinning?
Member of law enforcement with a little bit more tactical gear. That is the first time I've seen someone outside of the traditional constable uniform there. That seems to be potentially a member of the SWAT team or another negotiator. That's the first time I've seen someone in that uniform since we've started. Have you seen that, right? That's the first time, right?
Yeah, that is absolutely the first time, because we haven't seen a lot of boots on the ground. It's just been a lot of vehicles. But perhaps this is someone that you're right, could be a negotiator or someone who's going to approach that cab to try and move this situation forward in some direction.
And when you think about it, if you look at the green, if we go back to the green smoke and what's happening at the front, that's probably step one. You know what I mean? Trying to at least make it uncomfortable for the driver inside that cab so they can come out. You know, because as you know, any officer that wakes up and goes to work in the morning, they certainly don't think about discharging their firearms or being in some some very dangerous situations. They know the nature of the job, but research has shown many officers never begin and end their career without ever firing their weapon. So this effort to get this cab, the driver of this cab, to come out is step one. It's a safe option by all accounts If they're having difficulty breathing, you naturally come out, this thing comes to an end.
Which makes me again wonder if there was if the person is in some sort of medical condition,
right.
That I don't know if we're still seeing that tire spin that their foot was on. We're just getting word from our producer that that we put in a phone call to the name of the business that's on the side of the truck, but they immediately responded no comment and hung up on our caller. So they're probably getting a few calls at this point.
Sure.
And we don't know, whether this company has any involvement or if it was just their truck that's being used
by the
dispatch radioed in.
So,
They said,
and
you know
again,
what?
Again,
go
we
on
haven't learned anything
a
from,
chase. Get the tires
sheriff's
blown
office
out.
about
Screw the
who
load.
this may
We don't
be
care.
on the truck,
We don't care.
what
Just
the original issue was
crazy.
for the attempted traffic stop, and what led to the chase.
Speculator.
I'm looking at the website here for designtransport.net, which is the website that is, all over the truck here, the 18-wheeler. They're out of Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
So that at least gives us a little bit more information that it's a Texas-based company, organization. They've been in business for more than 30 years. Employ, according to the website here, they started out as a small family-owned business in 1989, and their company has grown to more than 100 tractors and more than 253 of these trailers. So small beginnings, humble beginnings, certainly have grown their business. But again, we don't know if this driver is working directly with this company. We don't know if this trailer may have been stolen. We just want to give you guys that information at the very least, that this is we researched the name of the company just based on the website that is on this 18-wheeler, and that's what we came up with. They're out of Dallas, Texas. We did place a phone call, like you heard Heather mention. Our team behind the scenes are doing what they can to get us some more information, and as soon as they picked up the phone call and we tried to get some more information, they stated no comment.
No comment and hung up.
That's right.
We're just getting another tweet from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, but really it's information for us in the media, saying that the media partner staging area will be eastbound Service Road near the Fairfield Marriott, just east of Sheldon. Again, 15,800 block of East Freeway. So, as we were discussing, it's going to be hard for our Abigail Dye to get close to the scene. It always is in a situation like this where they have, the public blocked off for safety, obviously, and so that they can deal with the scene. But of course, we want to be able to get our boots on the ground so we can find out the very latest about what exactly is happening so that we can inform you as you're watching this. I'm sure people, living in this area are concerned seeing this, not too far, and the people that work in this area, watching this unfold. The only thing that's making us feel a little better is, there doesn't seem to be a sense of panic.
Right.
As long as you feel better.
You can tell by watching the officers move around that they're moving, comfortably, and it looks like they are, sort of regathering to figure out what their next steps are to try and move forward, to try and, get this driver out and resolve this and hopefully get traffic flowing again on I-10. I don't even want to think about how far back traffic is backed up at this point.
And that's in both ways, in both directions.
Both directions.
I-10 East and westbound, those lanes are going to be shut down here. It looks like the officers may be repositioning as we take a look at how, I'm just kind of reading body language here and some of the movement. Looks like they're
if you're
repositioning.
On the 10, you're
you can
screwed.
Also see an officer,
from
multiple officers on the opposite
Cody
side.
Or what? I don't know how to say these names.
I-10
Cody or
well.
Janko City.
There's
Jankino City. I don't know.
People at these businesses. You can see at the very
but
bottom
if you're from
of
the
screen,
area,
there's a
then
group
you know.
of folks now congregating, trying to watch this all unfold as well. Something they've been watching from afar, but now they seem to be getting closer, as close as they possibly can. I haven't seen a car come through this feeder road here. We've been watching cars come through that feeder road for quite some time, but that has also stopped. As we try to pay attention, also the officers seem to be repositioning. We have more now. This is another member of law enforcement in tactical gear. You see another one on the and a dog. This, by all accounts, this tells me that we have now entered potentially another phase of this standoff.
Perhaps getting closer to moving in. And again, I can't tell whether it's still spinning from this angle, but we'd been watching the front wheel just under the front of the box part of the truck. You know, it was still spinning. And so we don't know whether that's someone consciously putting their foot on the gas, or whether perhaps there's been a medical situation with the person who was driving and their foot is just on the gas, you know, spinning. And that, you know, may indicate that, you know, perhaps that person is not able to exit. And maybe that's why after the 3 green smoke bombs, we didn't see any activity there either.
That's a good point.
But we don't know that yet. And again, we don't know anything about who that person is, or if there is perhaps more than one person on this truck.
And as I am looking at the bottom corner of the screen again, as those employees, as far as I can tell, at least 2 officers there are members in tactical units. They're having conversation with some of the people there on the ground that may work at this business. That black truck, the lights are off, but they had police lights on earlier. So it seems as though officers are also, or members of law enforcement are starting to have a conversation with the folks on the ground. And I'm going to pay attention to here next if we start to see that group of people kind of be asked to evacuate or go back inside. I'm going to pay close attention to that.
That would be
because that would definitely be an indicator that officers are about to move in, and they want to make sure that everyone is safely far away from the immediate situation. But by all accounts, we have now entered, I believe, a different phase of this standoff. It's been going on now. The time we are approaching the 3 o'clock hour. It's 2:38 here in the afternoon on the 27th. If you're just joining us here, this is an 18-wheeler that led police on a chase. You're looking at I-10 eastbound, and both the east and westbound lanes are shut down. The feeder road on the side, Heather was on air when this thing broke. We were on fox26houston.com and all of our digital platforms, including Fox Local, and we had some activity on the feeder road. Officers were still allowing cars to slowly but surely get through the feeder road. So as we've been assessing the scene here in the last 15 minutes or so, we no longer see cars making their way through this feeder road. But we have seen more members of law enforcement in tactical gear arrive at the scene here in the last 15 minutes or so, and they're having conversations. We now have a K9 on the ground as well, and you can continue to see members of the constable's office there still on the scene. Now we have at the bottom of your screen 2 black trucks. These are police units as well, unmarked, and we also have another member of a tactical unit in the back seat. And we're paying close attention to this group of people here that work at some of these businesses, because this is a very industrial area that I've seen.
It is. You know, we saw that there's a hotel right next door, and then this is, you know, we've seen stacks of shipping containers. So some sort of, you know, transport business, you know, that you can see just the containers there stacked up. So we don't know, you know, what kinds of things that they deal with, but
the situation, honestly, like it's a lot of unknowns. We're trying to read the tea leaves, if you will, as we kind of watch. You guys here, and like I said earlier, if you know someone that,
if you're heading that way, trying to get around it, Elisa Ribas, who does a great job with traffic, just put an update, some alternate routes for people to know. She says that State Highway 225 and 90 are alternate routes. Backups are to Spur 330. People should get off there. And the eastbound, the backups are in Jacinto City. So that is incredible. So that's what we just heard from right there. Also some interesting stuff. There's a company name on the side of the truck. We called that company. They told Daisy at the desk, no comment, and hung up the phone on her.
Okay.
So, you know, that's, we don't know if it is in fact their truck. Maybe the truck was stolen. No idea at this point. We're trying to get more information on that. But, you know, we're trying to get as much information as we can, because we still, you know, the sheriff has been putting out notes on social media, but not a lot of information. Right. And, you know, that we know that they're going to talk at some point, but we don't still have a lot of information. At least we got some live pictures there on the ground. You just see that smoke from, as you can imagine, those spinning tires that are just sitting there in that parked vehicle.
Yeah, and that's a lot of heat. That's a lot of friction that's coming. I get nervous when I see these live pictures, because you never know what's going to happen next. We don't want to see some sort of a fire or something like that. But it certainly is not outside the realm of possibility. Again, these live pictures coming into us there from that opposite side. And Looking into, I'm gonna step aside just for a second, just get real close. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be, Nick. But looking, right into the cab there, earlier we thought we saw some sort of motion where he was waving something. I mean, I'll tell you, Nick, I don't see any movement whatsoever inside that cab. And as we've been talking, the question remains is maybe how and why that gas pedal is still being pressed down in some form to keep those wheels turning. 2:42 here on a Wednesday afternoon.
It is.
The days are all messed up.
December 27th.
December 27th. If you're watching us here on the ABC 13 24/7 stream, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here right up until the 3 o'clock newscast. Nick, it's a pleasure to have you in a place that you do so well. In just sort of sometimes making sense of something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I walked in the door at 2 o'clock.
Yes, you did.
And,
yes, you did.
I'm
sitting there. What did I do?
I'm sitting there eating a tamale. And
yes,
yes,
it looked
leftovers
delicious.
Christmas
By
tamales.
the way.
It was very good.
You were really enjoying that lunch.
They said, "Come on over." I said, "Okay." I'll put my tamale down. I'll put it back. I'll nuke it later.
You were very kind to be voluntold to come over here.
Yes.
To help us out, and we appreciate that. One of the other things that we look at in a lot of these pictures, especially as reporters, as we try to figure out what's going on, is I try to deduce body language of law enforcement, and certainly here we don't see them in a defensive posture where they have guns aimed at anybody. They certainly don't seem to be in an urgent stance whatsoever. Doesn't always tell us everything that we need to know, but we did see guns drawn earlier. We don't see that now.
And you have to wonder if why you don't see that urgency, and then they have both. You can understand them having one side of the freeway shut down, but not the other side of the freeway shut down. If you don't see that sense of urgency, you have to wonder what are they doing now? What do they have? Are they talking to the truck driver potentially?
Right.
Because the name we were able to call the business name.
Right.
So maybe they were able to get in touch with the truck driver. But you are right. You can see them standing around. No guns appear to be out. Some of them not even looking at the cab, so got their backs turned to it.
Absolutely.
So that is interesting to see how law enforcement is handling the situation there on the scene. But obviously something has led them to fire that substance at the truck, and then also to shut the freeway down in the other direction.
Yeah. Hey, Iris Mill, I don't know if it's possible if you can give us this shot and this monitor behind us so that Nick and I can sort of see it a little bit closer. Again, my eyesight, not what it was 15 years ago, Nick, but I think sometimes it's helpful for us to be able to see those pictures up close and sort of see exactly what you're seeing at home. The other thing that's interesting to me, Nick, as we again continue to monitor the live situation is, as you mentioned, the communication, which I hadn't even really thought much about. It's a great point. Many of us know that trucks, many times they have CB radios. Right. Obviously, these days everybody has a cell phone, so there's not a low probability here that they may be in contact, or at least have tried to contact this individual.
Well, you would think so, if that's why you don't see them maybe trying to go into the cab. For some reason, they're not approaching the cab. I know they did earlier. We had video of them approaching, and they appeared to shoot some substance at the vehicle, but you have to wonder why. And you can see even on one side over there, just standing there and looking at this cab. So you don't see them like forming together potentially to look like they're going to make a move.
Right.
So you have to imagine that someone is talking. I mean, they have a hostage negotiating team.
Sure. Right.
And so
but you certainly see the weapons there.
You do, but you see them casually standing
Absolutely
there.
True. Absolutely.
And so the weapons, and I've been at scenes where there is a hostage situation or, a standoff negotiation, I should say, because we don't know if there's how many people are in this cab.
Correct.
And I do see guns drawn, and it is a very scary, real, tense situation, and you don't see that here. You see them, their weapons are out, but they're not pointed at the vehicle. So you have to wonder why that is, and why they're not going toward the cab. Especially if it is a medical episode, you have to wonder why they wouldn't just go in and help the person.
Absolutely.
So, I can't believe that it would be that.
Right.
Yeah, I have to believe that they're talking to this driver.
Sure. Well, and again, going back to the language that the sheriff used in that tweet, not always, you can't live and die sometimes by the language in a tweet, and I totally understand that. But he certainly made it seem like, hey, he intentionally did not exit when we asked him to. He intentionally refused to get out once he parked the truck on the side of the road. I want to go one more time. Just Doug, I keep catching people right in the middle of their food breaks here. Doug taking a drink of water there. Sorry about that, Doug. Doug, it's time to go home, my friend. I know you've been here a long time. Do we have any additional information about what could be in this truck, or what types of things this truck is hauling, or is it just too early to tell?
I can tell you what we heard from the radio traffic a little bit earlier. It sounded like it was like a furniture manufacturing name on the side of the truck. Now that's the name that's labeled on the side of the cab. So what's physically in the truck, or what is not meant to be in the truck that's in there that they're trying to haul, all that information we don't know quite at this moment. I was just going to say, you were talking about the information, the slow roll of information.
Yeah.
And one thing, speaking with the public information officers quite a bit throughout all the different agencies around town that we talk to, it's just a reminder that a lot of this is fluid. This whole situation, fluid until they get to a point where they have an endpoint, they're able to do their little post commentary to each other and explain, this is what I saw, this is what I heard, this is how we engaged that person, this is what happened when we tried to engage and it didn't come together. That's all that information gets compiled, and then we get that final say-so of what exactly happened. So until then, a lot of this is just fluid information of trying to figure out what it is, why it is. When I initially had called the sheriff's department, they were so early in it, they were still trying to collect the information themselves. So what we were hearing from the radios, they were able to confirm that it was an 18-wheeler that they were attempting to get pulled over, to get to a safe point and be able to let traffic get through, but clearly that part has not happened as the freeway remains shut down. And these pictures now from our photographer Eckhart, who's on scene there, giving us this perspective from just east of Sheldon Road, taking a look at it. And again, deputies out there talking among themselves. Imagine the public information officer arriving at this point, clearly trying to get through the traffic themselves to be able to get to that media staging area at the hotel so that they can give us information. In the look here in this video, just to tell you, that's Able 1, which is the name of the helicopter there. That's the Harris County Sheriff's helicopter back over the location, providing aerial support to the officers on the ground to make sure that they have all their bases covered on what this investigation is. And then I changed the camera back just to show that perspective again from the TransStar camera whenever we go back live. I went back to that just to show the vast lack of traffic that's on the freeway from this incident. So hopefully they're able to find out what the situation is with this individual, get closer to them.
Here, 1, 2. You have 2 at the top of your screen, at least 2 there, 2 on the side of the divider, 4. Units on the street, but if you look at the bottom of your screen as well, next to these shipping containers, we also have multiple black vans as well. We have
helicopter. Let me just double check, because I thought from the markings of it, it looked like that was the sheriff's department.
I agree. It certainly appeared to be that way from the video that we were seeing. By the way, again, just a reminder, we're just under 9 minutes now to Eyewitness News at 3. So this will continue here on the stream with Eyewitness News at 3, in addition to live on ABC 13, as we continue to cover this just unfolding and bizarre situation of where now we see what appear to be tactical units. It would be my description.
Yeah, there they are. They're running towards the cab with the weapons.
Yeah, if you can hear me, yeah, definitely that is not a medical helicopter.
No.
From what I could tell, that is the sheriff's department's helicopter.
So if you're just joining us, we just watched live a police helicopter land on the freeway, drop somebody off on the freeway, who is then running toward the folks there. I just can't say I've ever seen anything quite like this before. Doug, Nick?
Never. And I've been at several chases, end of chases. I've never seen them have to fly in additional units to help them.
Yeah, law enforcement landing on the freeway to a scene like that, to my knowledge, to my memory, is not something I've seen.
Certainly after it's been active for 2 hours.
For almost right at 2 hours right now.
Very, very unusual. As we continue, again, this is all live. This is all happening as we watch there together, and just try to piece together what in the world are we watching?
I don't see this. Did you see the smoke at the truck? Does it look like the tires had stopped spinning?
I thought so. So there you have it. There's there
is a little bit of smoke there.
There is still, okay.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of smoke that's still coming up there.
And Doug, absolutely correct. As always, that was the sheriff helicopter for sure. So you can
okay, there's just so the tires are still spinning on this 18-wheeler.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You see a little bit of smoke there still, and that was there's actually 2 Harris County Sheriff's helicopters now in the air.
I don't even know what that means. But hey,
looking at
I don't know.
Looking at the situation there in the scene. So one was already airborne, the other one coming in, landing there briefly, as you can see. Someone with a lot of gear getting out and making their way up closer to the truck there. You now can't see them in this shot now, and then the helicopter taking off again. But indeed, that was the county sheriff's department, not a medical helicopter. But again, they do have ambulances. You can actually see them in the very far right corner of the shot. That they're on standby there for any kind of medical attention that this individual needs, or if any deputies happen to need any type of medical necessity as this progresses along. But unfortunately, this not coming to an end anytime soon here.
Doug, as I was taking a look at the TransStar camera, we don't have to switch over there if you don't want to. It's just up to you guys, because these images are pretty compelling. The line has moved a little bit. There is progress, which is clearly good news. But it just is so. Again, the major impact is to traffic here. Just an unbelievable backup of cars in all directions as we take a look at those TransStar cameras, because again, all lanes there, I-10 East and West, shut down there at Sheldon is the cross street there of where all this is happening. Just joining us, we've been watching this end of a chase scene along the freeway for some time, and it just has yet to come to an end. But developments within the last 2-3 minutes there, Nick.
And your mouth continues to drop with this story as it unfolds. And now, you wondered why they shut down the other side of the freeway. This may be why. They needed to get more people out to the scene to land their helicopter, which is incredible. So we know that more deputies with tactical gear are there on the scene. I believe they're staged behind the 18-wheeler. We haven't seen them move. We haven't seen them move from behind.
And even long before that helicopter landed on the freeway, the westbound lanes were closed down. And from what we're hearing, and again, we don't like to just say, hey, we heard this, we heard that, and that's fact. We'd like to tell you what we're hearing that's giving us guidance to bring this on the air to you, to inform you what's going on. So listening to the Sheriff's Department earlier, they were talking about, before we go up and try to approach the truck, let's get that westbound traffic closed off. This was well before 2 p.m. Or around 2 p.m. that we were starting to hear that they were closing off the westbound traffic as well as the eastbound traffic behind the truck. So long before there was the consideration or the action rather of this Sheriff's Department's helicopter landing and that person jumping out to be part of this operation, we were already seeing the lanes closed off. That gave us the indication that this was done out of an act of safety. And I think that's why we're also just seeing so few cars starting to get down the feeder road and eventually back onto the freeway, which we can see there from the camera at Magnolia, which I had up here. It's showing you the inbound traffic that is just backed up trying to get into the city, but a car or two starting to move on the right side of the TransStar picture there, showing people being able to get eastbound on I-10, those that were on the feeder road. But again, still the freeway shut down in both directions. But yes, it's no doubt taking advantage of the freeway being shut down to be able to get that individual down on the ground from the helicopter for whatever purposes they're going to serve in this function here. But the freeway continues to be shut down, and again, waiting for that update at the command post, the media staging area from the sheriff.
Yeah, Doug, we're just under 3 minutes now to Eyewitness News at 3. I imagine you're going to be needed for that Eyewitness News at 3 broadcast. You may need to check in with the producer or something. So we're going to let you go so that you can just get squared away for that, just in case they do need to utilize your skills there, because I imagine they're going to. You've been a terrific resource to us, Doug. We certainly appreciate you. And again, we want to remind folks that we will continue here with the Eyewitness News at 3 here in just a few minutes, but also Eyewitness News at 3 comes on the air on ABC 13. Not surprisingly, at 3 p.m.
Yes, and that's exactly when we are expected to have our first reporter on the scene, about 3 o'clock as well. So we're waiting to try and get more information. I know that Giovanni is working with the sheriff's office to try and get more information.
Get on it, Giovanni.
Before the media staging area, just so we can pass it on to our viewers, because you may be wondering what is going on, especially with traffic.
Yeah.
You know, because they got both sides of the freeway they are shut down. But right now, we're only seeing what you're seeing.
Right.
And, you know, our ABC 13 photojournalist Eckert is doing a great job bringing us these images. And you and I were peering into the cab. You can't see what's going on.
Yeah,
you can't see.
And I imagine
maybe he's behind the seats.
Yeah, there may be something that we're just not seeing for sure. But you just never know. And as we've been watching this camera, by the way, it's incredibly difficult to get a shot this good.
Yeah.
There's
a drone.
Oh yeah, sure enough. Okay. Take a look at that. So great eyes there, Nick. A drone just in the middle of your shot there.
Yep.
I guarantee you that's not one of ours.
No. That's got to be. That's the sheriff's office. They have drones. So I'm assuming that they're trying to now get better eyes on the situation.
Exactly.
Because you can take the drone and fly that right down in front of the cab.
For sure.
And it's a safe situation.
Right.
For those deputies.
And the other thing too that I wonder if they also have paid for. I don't know if they've actually received. But the county bought FLIR drones that can detect heat.
Oh, okay.
Just like they have on the helicopters. I'm wondering if they're concerned, like I was, about the amount of heat that might be.
Sure.
Is there a fire that could be coming from that trailer cab as well? So a lot happening here. Nick, we're 45 seconds away from Eyewitness News at 3. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me come in.
Absolutely. We will stay right here and don't go anywhere, because as soon as we're done here, Eyewitness News at 3 will take over.
Yeah, I want to say thank you everybody who's in here right now.
We'll hand things over now.
I really do appreciate you all.
A and PCR
for
1
real.
For now.
It's been a minute. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I apologize that I ain't been around. Not that too many people miss me. But anyway, thank you. And then they want to hit me with the damn music. Okay. I could tell they're watching me watching them. Bastards. Hey, we'll go over here. We're going to go over here. We're going to go over here. Red Card Curtis Gaming, what's up, man? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for saying hello. You rock. So I'm going to go back to the other one, so at least you get the straight on. Playing with these people. They're watching me, watching them. So I had to kill the...
So we have been following this for about 2 hours now, bringing you images on the ABC 24/7 stream app. Right now, our photojournalist Eckert Von Ellen Reeder is there live. This is the image you're looking at. And you can see that there is smoke that is still coming from the tires. We understand those gears are still shifting in that 18-wheeler as that driver is still holed up inside. So spike strips were used, which caused at least one of the wheels to pop. But as you can see, see from video earlier captured by Sky at 13, the other tires were still spinning despite that truck being stopped. We have seen several officers surround this truck as it just sits there on the shoulder. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez has not said what prompted the chase, but does say that driver is refusing to exit the vehicle. And again, as you can see, it is creating just a huge, big traffic mess out there. So we're going to go straight to Elisa Rivas, our traffic anchor, with the latest on this. Elisa, who's to say how long this is going to go on for?
We never quite know. That's why we watch these things so carefully, and we really stay with it for you, because we want you to know what's happening on this major corridor, I-10, the East Freeway, primarily beyond the 610 loop. This is causing a major disruption between 610 and Spur 330. This is the view from Cedar Lane, courtesy of Houston Transtar right now.
Definitely getting pretty crazy out here. I mean, more and more law enforcement are showing up here on scene. I've seen several different units come down this feeder road here, and as you can see, as we turn the camera around, you can see that this feeder road is shut down to public access. As you can see right here, like I was saying, more and more law enforcement vehicles and units just kind of showing up. Looks like he's slowing down here, but we have so many on the way over to the scene, which is down here, just a little east of us. So this is I-10 eastbound, and you can see that obviously this is shut down just like the feeder road. And we've got a ladder truck up there at the top, a ladder fire truck, several other flashing lights, emergency vehicles of different kinds. As we've been watching our chopper video, we've seen a lot of different activity. I know we saw the chopper, a chopper drop off someone who seemed to be a part of a SWAT team. We see we see officers dressed in green uniforms. We see all types of activity out here. And we also have a SWAT truck up here just ahead. If we zoom in, I believe we see a couple of authorities here in tactical gear. So like I said, things are really ramping up here. This is a very high stakes, intense situation. I think it's safe to call this a standoff. They have this completely taped off. We can't move any closer than we are, and I would suggest that the public doesn't get any closer than we are at this point either. Law enforcement is out here doing their jobs and trying to de-escalate the situation in the safest way possible. Again, I-10 is shut down both ways, as we've been saying. You can't drive on I-10 either way, and this feeder road is shut down eastbound. I'm not sure about the other feeder road over there westbound, but I would say just avoid this whole area completely. I mean, the traffic is absolutely wild. It took us a long time to get out here, so it's dangerous on the roads, and obviously this situation that authorities are dealing with could be very dangerous as well. We're not sure who this driver is. We don't know why they were fleeing from police, and we're here at the staging area to learn that information. Now we're expecting a press conference to happen here within the near future. We're not exactly sure when we're going to get information, but I'm sure police are going to work on de-escalating the situation before they give us the information that we need. But of course, we're going to stay out here. We're going to continue to monitor this situation, and we'll give you an update as soon as we have one. Reporting live, Abigail Dye, Fox 26 News.
Abigail, this is Heather, if you can hear me. We know traffic has got to be very backed up all around that area. So can you, and you know, I know a lot of drivers concerned about not being able to get through, or concerned, you know, maybe they have family or friends in the area. Can you give us a sense of the traffic situation that you saw just trying to get to where you are? You're not that far away from where this truck is stopped. And so I want to know, like, what you observed traffic-wise and anything you can share with our viewers about just how backed up and blocked off this area is.
Yeah, absolutely. The traffic situation over here is terrible. Like I said, Sheldon Road is just east of us, and if we can try to take a little bit of a look here, we have some bushes in the way, but Sheldon is backed up, headed north and south. I mean, we were sitting in bumper to bumper traffic for probably about 15 minutes just when you hit this area. And like I said, this service road, it is blocked off right at Sheldon. So you can head down westbound or eastbound rather on this service road up until Sheldon, but you can't pass through Sheldon. So all that traffic going north and south down Sheldon is just atrocious. You really can't get through it. And so there are smaller roads like First right here, just south of us, that is backed up all the way down because that's the alternate to the feeder road. And every road around here, really, you're not going to be able to get through. And of course, the highway itself is shut down. So anyone who is trying to go east or westbound needs to take these alternate routes on the sides. So you're not going to be getting anywhere very quickly over here.
Hey, Abigail, I hate to cut you off here because I want to take this Sky Fox Live just to give you guys, if you missed some of this action here, we have, if you look at your screen, this white squad car, you have about 6 to 8 members of law enforcement, at least 6 of them in tactical gear. If you missed that action here, they actually moved into the back portion of this 18-wheeler and they opened the back door to kind of get an idea of what's inside because we didn't know what was inside the entire time. So they got an assessment at least of what's inside. They didn't move in, but they definitely made the assessment. And on the front portion of your screen here, I believe that is the first time that we've seen a robot.
Ass out of there too.
I believe that is one of the tactical units, or one of those, that's in the arsenal, if you will. You see the robot now moving
in closer to the cab. So if you look at where the truck is, right next to the median, just below it, you can see the robot moving up to the cab. And that's their safe way of trying to approach whoever is in there to find out, what the situation is, so that they're not putting an officer's life at risk by being that close without really knowing the situation, what the condition is of the person or persons who may be in there. And did it look to you, Anthony, like did they take anything out of the back of the truck?
It was difficult. I was trying to figure out if that was a shadow I may have been seeing or something, but I don't want to make an assessment of it just yet, but as we zoom into this, now you see the robot giving off members of law enforcement another set of eyes. If you're not too familiar and you're just joining our coverage, we had 3 plumes of green smoke that, by all accounts, we assume that it was officers shooting into the cab with some form of a gas to encourage the driver to come out. That did not happen. You also see a drone. This is the first time we've seen a drone. So we have the drone on scene there as well, giving officers an idea of what's happening in the front, and we also have on the ground here this robot as well. From Abigail's vantage point, we also see an armored truck. We assume that's going to be moving in.
A lot more of them around. Watch. Mark my words.
One of your good points you made earlier. You see this wheel.
Yeah.
It's still spinning. Still spinning. So we're not sure if someone's foot still on the gas, or maybe some type of debris that may have been in the cab fell on the gas pedal and it's still going, but that is still happening as well. I would say in the last hour 30 minutes, we started to see more members in tactical gear arrive at the scene. They have now, by all accounts, taken over the position.
And we're going to be checking in again with Abigail. She's working to get us some more information right now. But if you watch, it's hard for our chopper to, obviously the closer we get, it's harder to stay steady with the shot. But you're watching this, it's fascinating to watch this robot slowly kind of unfold itself and expand. And they're trying to get a look inside the cab, without having to risk anyone's safety. They've got this robot up there to assess the situation. And when we saw those 3 bursts of green smoke, you can see how the passenger side window of the cab is green, and you can see where the part of the glass there is broken. But that green has also helped to obstruct the view, which is part of why it is hard for them to see what exactly is going on.
Shout out to the 52 in here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Puffs of green smoke,
even if you hate me, I don't care. I love you.
I think appears to look like perhaps law enforcement was trying to smoke the people out or person out. But we didn't see any movement from the person, and we continue to see that wheel spinning, which we think may indicate that maybe they're incapacitated with a foot still on the pedal or something. But we just haven't seen any movement of any person coming out of that cab.
And we have placed some phone calls to the company that is listed on that cab. It's Design Transportation. They're out of Dallas, Texas. We have placed phone calls and they simply said no comment. So I imagine
The
they're
hell did
getting
you
several
expect him
phone
to
calls
say?
from a lot of people want to know
Goofball.
what's going on. And again, as we continue to zoom out here, this is okay. So now we have this shot for you here. It's pretty stagnant, no real movement so far, but I would definitely say that officers are going to be moving in here shortly.
That's probably the clearest picture of the truck we've had in a while, where you can see more of the details on the side of the cab there. But again, and it looks to me like, is this video from earlier? Because I don't see the robot next to it.
Yeah,
okay,
I believe this is video. We're showing you guys some video from
earlier. But yeah, so we're watching on our live cameras. It looks like our Skyfox is perhaps getting reset, so we don't have that live view of the robot.
Now this is a camera shot from Abigail Dye, our reporter that's on the field. So this is the feeder road. If you can remember from the shot we just showed you, there was a feeder road. This is the feeder road, and when this first began, they were letting cars go through the feeder road, but as you can see now, this is an armored truck here on the feeder road amongst several other unmarked and marked police cars as well. And once those armored trucks show up to the scene, then we're talking about the potential of an actual engagement with the person who may be in that cab, because these armored vehicles obviously can carry several members of the SWAT team in there as well, but it can also take fire. This is a very high quality bulletproof piece of machinery.
Manny, what's up, man?
There as well. It is moving.
Yeah, perhaps they're going to move it in closer to
Woman.
the truck.
Yeah,
sorry.
But we have at least a dozen members of the SWAT team there on
horrible
scene.
that
We have
shit.
a drone from law enforcement, not to
At least the
mention a
mines.
robot as well, giving officers a set of eyes to see what's happening inside of that cab. We've been there for about 2 hours now. We've approached 2 hours with this standoff, and still no end in sight. And we witnessed this as well, Heather. This was when
Thank
the
you guys so much. I really appreciate all you guys.
And we saw an
I do.
officer in
Thank you.
tactical gear hop out, carrying a lot of equipment, kind of hop over that median wall, and then kind of reposition with some of the other officers there. And now
there it is.
Yeah, that's.
This is what happened earlier.
and
Definitely a sense of urgency.
The fact that we're
more peanut
seeing
butter
that
jelly
SWAT
sandwiches.
vehicle you were just talking about now moving perhaps closer to where the 18-wheeler is, tells me that they've maybe garnered some information from the robot that is telling them, okay, we can go ahead and move in closer to this situation. But this was that tactical officer arrived by helicopter.
Yeah, and we do want to note too, there's an ambulance there on scene as well. Certainly everyone would like this to come to an end here soon and as safe as possible. We don't want anyone to be injured or potentially lose their life, but this has been 2 hours now. Officers have done time and time again to try to, initiate the 18-wheeler and have it come to a stop by putting out those spike strips. It then came to a stop, but then we didn't have any movement from the driver of this 18-wheeler. We believe officers may have shot into the cab with this green smoke, which is why you see the remnants of that from the passenger side of this 18-wheeler. We had some shots from Skyfox as well from the driver's side, and we really couldn't make out what was.
You couldn't really see.
You couldn't really see what was going on inside of there because of that green smoke. So we didn't want to, give you guys any wrong information or mischaracterize what we can see and assess from what Skyfox was giving us. So we want to hold back on what's potentially happening inside of that truck. But again, even with the smoke, no one came out.
Yeah, and I do think it's noteworthy that they did not evacuate the area. Because we have seen workers from those businesses right there next to the feeder road. We've seen them kind of out on their cell phones and watching and observing and moving around in their parking lot areas. And this again is the video of when they had the green smoke coming out of the cab. There are 3 bursts of this if you're watching this. But they did not evacuate those workers, those employees. And that tells us a little bit about the nature of what's going on. If they were, there was really a heightened concern about public safety, of course they would have said everybody out in that immediate area, and we didn't see that. So they're still being very tight-lipped. We're more than 2 hours into this. Okay, there's our robot video approaching. We're more than 2 hours into this, and we're getting still very little information about who may be on this truck, what may be on this truck, why it was being pulled over for a traffic stop, and what led to this chase that has now ended here on I-10 with a complete shutdown for 2 hours of traffic in both directions.
And our reporting really has been through Sky Fox, because that is our best ability to get some reporting to you guys, because this is what we have seen. So if you're just now joining us and you may have missed this little nugget of information here, that is a robot. A robot was used as well to try to approach the front portion of the cab, give officers a better view, a vantage point of what's happening there. Not to mention there was also a drone flying eye to eye, level with the windshield of this 18-wheeler as well. So one thing is very clear. Officers are trying to get an idea of what's happening in the front portion of the cab, but we also were live here witnessing the moment at least 6 members of the SWAT team approached the back portion of this 18-wheeler. They actually opened the back of this cab to get an idea of what's inside. They didn't go inside the cab. No one came out of the cab. I think they were comfortable with the information they were able to gather, because it was a very touch and go moment. They approached the back portion, opened the door, assessed what was inside, and left. And that took all of a minute. So that was another sign for us that this is approaching, again, officers are taking another approach to try to get this thing under control. When we first started, we didn't have any members of law enforcement in this tactical gear, Heather, and that has changed drastically over the last 2 hours and 17 minutes. So we know that this is an effort by law enforcement to try to bring this thing to an end, as the folks on I-10 right now.
All these people that are, maybe returning from their travels over the holiday. We have, thankfully seen lighter traffic this week because it is a holiday week, a lot of people out of town. And we didn't see any incidents from this chase. There were no accidents reported, and even the truck, there was no crash or anything like that. In fact, the sheriff's office tells us they used a spike strip to finally stop the vehicle and end the chase. And you can see that the vehicle with 3 flat tires still pulled over to the shoulder of the freeway there. Perhaps they were driving in the shoulder. But obviously just ended in a peaceful way without
Shout out to the
a
102
crash.
in here. Thank you so much.
Thankfully, it was handled, and
the best.
The chase didn't last all that long. I want to say it was maybe 20 or 30 minutes tops.
And that's in stark contrast to the 18-wheeler chase we witnessed a couple of weeks ago, where the driver, if you guys may remember, the driver in 18-wheeler went through Montgomery County, Harris County, Fort Bend counties, all through these counties, leading police on this chase. And when we spoke to law enforcement at that time, they mentioned that they were waiting for the right moment to use spike strips. Spike strips are obviously a very important tool to have, but you got to use it at the right time, because there are some safety measures and some safety implications that you want to adhere to. And they were able to use them, thankfully, in this situation, and were able to get this 18-wheeler to come to a stop. So that has been a good sign, but we haven't seen any movement from the driver of this 18-wheeler since then. We looked at the decals. We're doing our due diligence behind the scenes. So we looked at the decals that are on this 18-wheeler. It's Design Transportation, which is a company out of Dallas, Texas. We placed a phone call to the company in Dallas, Texas. They quickly said no comment. Now, to be clear, we don't know for sure if the driver is employed directly through the company, or maybe they're a subcontractor, if you will, and they are their own independent entity, just driving the truck for the company or whatever it is. So but we do know to some degree that this truck is out of Dallas, Texas. Now, I want to give you guys an idea of what you're looking at as well. So the smaller video that you're looking at here, that is a live look at the feeder road that is now at a standstill. Now, what you're looking at in the larger portion of your screen, that was the feeder road there with some roads, with some cars going through. But that was
Thanks,
early.
Ricky.
So
I appreciate you.
This is not live right now.
I don't fuck with TikTok, though.
Positioning, doing some work there on the
Thanks
ground.
for trying to
So we'll
reroute
get
my
back to the
traffic,
live
though.
picture in a
Appreciate
second,
you.
So this, again, is the 18-wheeler on I-10, but the smaller box on your screen is the feeder road, giving us another live view. Now, there was at
apparently
one point a
some
armored
wood.
SWAT
He's got a
truck
furniture
that
truck
was
there.
here. Matter of fact, that is Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. That is Sheriff
Not
Ed
Sheriff Ed
Gonzalez
Gonzalez.
walking
Son of a bitch.
right now with another member of law enforcement behind him. Now, we should be expecting him to speak because there's a media staging area on the eastbound service road near the Fairfield Marriott, and I think that's just east of Sheldon where most of the action is taking place.
Shout out to everybody in here. I
Sheriff Ed
appreciate it.
Gonzalez, that is the first time we've been able to set eyes
Everybody
on him.
in here.
That is a live look
Thank you
again
very
of what's
much.
unfolding on the feeder road. Now,
Whether you
near
like
that
me or
feeder
not, I
road
love
is
you.
Is an industrial area, and we have seen that kind of be used by law enforcement as kind of a staging area for them. We've seen a lot of black unmarked cars and members of the SWAT team go over there as well and kind of look at what was taking place. And now we have
a live shot from the chopper, a close-up view of the truck, and it looks like the SWAT vehicle has just pulled in right in front of it, and you can see the robot there on the left side that has been kind of giving them
thank God it's
the
not.
view
I hope not.
into the truck, into
now
the
this
cab.
is the same armored truck I just mentioned a minute ago. That was once on that feeder road.
And look at the top of it. You
Who
can
knows?
see there's an officer
Who knows?
taking position.
Another
looking
one of
through
them
the scope.
situations. Jesus.
You see more
God
officers,
forbid.
members of the SWAT team in the back portion
Not
of
that it
that
don't
truck as
happen.
well. They are certainly looking to bring this thing to an end here at any moment. If you're just now
I
joining
bet
us,
you if they just brought him a
this is
McFlurry,
live
he'd
look
get right out.
at I-10 right now. I want to let you guys know as we continue to see this unfold, if it we will make a decision, an editorial decision to pull away from this scene if things get to the point where we no longer feel like it's the best, it's in the best service of our viewers
You
to
hang in
digest
there
some
and
of
you
that
hang in there
information.
tight.
So
son of a
first and foremost,
Jew.
I want to put that warning out there. But we do want to let you guys get a view of what is happening right now. And Heather, you started covering this for us in the very beginning. And if people are just not joining us, kind of bring us up to speed on how we got here.
Yeah. So over 2 hours
Yeah,
ago, we
right.
started hearing in the newsroom
13.
about a chase that was underway.
Right.
Harris County Sheriff's Office handling
It'll
a
be a
chase.
sight you never
They
seen.
tell us that they tried to pull this 18-wheeler over for a traffic stop. We don't know what the reason was for the traffic stop, but they tell us that the traffic stop didn't happen. It then turned into a chase, and they ended up having to use a spike strip to stop the vehicle. And you can see from that front tire there, that's just the rim that's left. There are 3 tires just completely blown that we've seen on this vehicle. And of course, we're still watching live the SWAT officer, in position here coming out the top of the SWAT
I believe
vehicle.
he just changed his weapon. This seems to be a weapon that you see shots fired right there.
Okay.
And that, from my estimation, I believe that is
We're setting up.
a gas of some sort, but there was a shot fired inside of that 18-wheeler. You see the hole right there in the front portion of the windshield. The SWAT member now reloading, it seems, getting another position, now changing weapons again. You can also see on the passenger side of this 18-wheeler. Matter of fact, we just got word Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is holding a press conference. We want to get to him. We have that up, guys. Let's listen in. All right, so let's get back to.
If we can maybe show the live
a double
pictures
box
while
of some
we
sort.
listen to the sheriff. That way we can be bringing you the very latest visual on what's happening right at the scene of the truck. And then we can
let's
be
do that. That's
listening
good.
into the sheriff.
200.
There we go.
I love
So
you
hopefully
guys.
as soon as
Thank
the
you.
sheriff starts speaking, we'll be getting the very latest.
I know you're not here for me. You're here for the
information
show.
about what
Thank
has
you.
happened here from our cameras. It looks like he's just getting ready to start speaking to the media.
Harris
Okay, here
County
we go.
Sheriff, joined here by several teammates with the Harris County Sheriff's Office out here in our District 3 patrol area, East Harris County. This afternoon at approximately 12:51 p.m., just shy of 1 p.m., some of our patrol units, or a patrol unit, spotted what appeared to be a stalled 18-wheeler on the main lanes outbound of the East Freeway near Freeport. It drew his attention. Many times we just refer to it as a possible traffic hazard where there's either a vehicle or something stalled in the middle of the roadway. So he turned on his lights to investigate what was happening. At that point, the driver appeared to be a lone driver, but we don't know if there's anyone else in the vehicle. Possibly a Hispanic
Do your
or
homework,
white male
Holmes.
driver. We're not exactly sure.
Play
but that's
around
the
with
preliminary
TikTok
information
over
we
here.
have. but the driver did not stop. The driver began traveling forward at a slow rate of speed. So the unit continued behind just to assess what was going on. At that
Gabriel's
point, there's
just
a
made
range
they
of
didn't
things
shoot
that
him
he
in
was
a
considering. It could be anything from medical emergency,
peanut butter and jelly
so
sandwich
potential public safety risk as
with the
well.
drone.
So just trying to assess
Sorry,
what
Gabe.
was going on.
Calm down.
As the vehicle continued outbound, the vehicle started some evasive maneuvers, started swerving kind of around multiple lanes. At that point, the risk factors went up at that point because now the vehicle began swerving. And again, we're talking about a large 18-wheeler with a container truck in a container trailer in the back. So at that point, just past Sheldon, that's where the vehicle finally came to a rest on the main lanes. By then, obviously the sergeant and others had determined that they were going to try to immobilize the truck. They deployed spikes, which were successful, and the vehicle continued to travel some more and eventually came to a stop. At this point, he remains barricaded, refusing to come out. We have summoned our crisis negotiation team as well as our SWAT team, so we could have a range of different options to deploy out here, seeking the best possible outcome for everyone involved. But at this point, it's still an active scene. We do not know why he's refused to come out,
Alan,
or what may
right.
be happening with him. It could be anything from being impaired to some type of a criminal issue that we're just not aware of. So we're just trying to ascertain the best strategy to, again, come to a safe resolution, primarily to make sure our deputies are safe out here, other citizens that may be in the area, and then also the subject himself, that we could try to resolve this as peacefully as we can. But being that he's refusing to come out and not knowing his state of mind, we're concerned, of course, that he's an 18-wheeler. It's a powerful truck, obviously, and anything could happen. He is revving up the engine and has been doing that for a while, so we don't know what's on his mind. Obviously, traffic mobility is an issue, so we could continue to get the message out to avoid I-10 East and to seek alternate routes. That would be helpful because we have a large presence out here. We're going to try to get this resolved as quickly but as safely as possible as well. Just briefly in Spanish before I answer questions. Esta tarde, como casi a las 1 de la tarde, uno de nuestros oficiales observó una camioneta.
We've just been listening, but just while we've been listening to the sheriff, I just want to point out that this SWAT officer
some ignorant shit,
in the
ain't
top of the SWAT
anyway,
vehicle has now
look, they're
fired
getting ready to pop another one in there.
shots from his weapon into the cab. You can see some holes there in the glass. Whether that's, something that they're shooting in to again, try and force him out. We don't know exactly what that is.
Connie, I don't know what you mean.
And he's putting some sort of netting now, over his face. So I wonder if, again, they're perhaps working with that smoke or something, or a gas. But we've seen now several shots fired at the front of the windshield. And again, no movement from anyone inside the cab.
And I think this is the first time we've also got some important information. If you guys are paying attention to that press conference, we do know that this person has been revving up there.
I think again, we tried different things.
We're
going to listen into the sheriff's taking questions now.
As necessary. I did mention that we did successfully spike the wheels, the tires, a couple of times, and then also I think less lethal type of weapon was utilized to try to see if we could just gain compliance and get the issue resolved quicker, but that was unsuccessful. So here we are now. We're now in a barricaded situation. Just for some of our citizens, they may say, well, it's easy, just go up to the truck or something. We're putting our folks in harm's way. He's at an elevated position, so there's different tactical considerations that have to be made. So one priority for me as well is to make sure that our folks are safe out here. So I want to commend Sergeant Carizales that was out here, and the lieutenant as well, Lieutenant Calhoun, and our team out here, the sergeant, everybody. We're working together. We're trying to resolve multiple things from the traffic as well as the safety. And again, we'd like to
shout out to the 306 in here. Thank you.
It's ultimately his choice to make sure he's complying with us so that we could resolve this as safely as possible for everyone.
And so at this point, it seems like just non-lethal shots have been fired.
Yes, that's up to the moment. That's it. Nothing. No gunfire or anything has been exchanged or fired either at him or at us for any reason. So it's still everything's still in flux at this point. Le pudimos poner a las llantas donde pudimos inmovilizar la troca.
And it looks to me, Anthony, like the robot has moved in even closer, trying to get a look. You know, if the assumption is correct that they're continuing to fire, like a gas or something to try and get whoever is in there out. But now, the robot, has gotten closer and closer, hopefully able to get a closer look at what's happening inside that cab. We continue to see that wheel spin, which means there continues to be a pressure on the gas pedal. So we don't know whether that might mean that this person is somehow incapacitated but still, has a foot on the pedal or something has fallen on it. But you can see right there in the upper left side of your screen. And now we're watching the robot move a little bit again.
Watch your
and we've
mouth,
seen
Darryl.
several
It's a
shots
good way
now
to
by
get
this
chucked
SWAT
out of
officer
here. Nut.
fired directly, not just into that front windshield, but the
Murder
passenger
response.
side where we believe the driver is seated.
So this, we're going to go back right now to Sheriff Gonzalez. He's got some more
Everything's still in
details.
flux, so we're looking at different angles to this. Any information that we could develop as to what may be going on with this individual. We simply want him to comply. You may have heard where we're trying to establish communications with him, trying to just get his attention, but it's still a very fluid situation because we're concerned if he takes off with that type of vehicle, he's been erratic already, that he could go and harm other people down the roadway if we don't resolve this right now.
We talk about the size of that truck, right? So do you know exactly what's inside that truck?
We haven't. We're trying to determine that. We're trying to see what, or there could be people, it could be items, we don't know. So that's part of our situation that we're trying to resolve. No sabemos todavía, no nos han dicho qué está dentro del camión.
All right, so we continue listening periodically in that press conference, but this is the best view for everyone there at home through Sky Fox. As you mentioned, this tire you see here has continued to be revved up, if you will. And the Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says this person has been erratic for quite some time, so they want to make sure they can resolve this peacefully as possible. At this point, we don't know if this person is impaired or there's some criminal issue at hand here, which forced him to try to evade police. Now, this is also the first time we've been able to at least identify the gender of this individual who's driving this semi, because we had no clue what was going on before. You also see members of law enforcement. There's quite the row of emergency vehicles. There's also an ambulance on scene there.
3 fire trucks.
3 fire trucks. There's members of the K9 unit there, several SWAT team members. You've seen the robot there, but you also see another robot here on the side, and another
that will
armored tactical
100%
vehicle
be
that's on standby as well. Now, this is the
horrible.
feeder road at the bottom of your screen you're looking at
See
there.
that again?
Now, that feeder road has
Horrible.
really become somewhat of a staging area because
that's a
Ed
fact.
Gonzalez is on
You
that
never
feeder
know.
road delivering information to the media there, but that's also where we once saw this armored vehicle. It was stationed there, and now it has made its way directly in front of this 18-wheeler, and we have seen at least 2 shots be fired into the front windshield of this 18-wheeler. But again, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez saying they are still taking non-lethal measures. So it wasn't a bullet, but some form of some foreign object shot into the front portion. I don't want to mischaracterize what was shot in there, but they are definitely moving forward.
Yeah, and so if the driver is still, in the driver's seat, like I said, potentially with, a foot on the pedal, causing that wheel back there to continue to spin that we've been watching. It's been spinning for well over an hour now. Yeah. The shots this SWAT officer has been firing have been, into the passenger side, I'm sure in an effort to avoid injuring anybody. And you can see that green on the window, that was from earlier. There were 3 puffs of green smoke that came out of the vehicle. We believe that was an effort by law enforcement to perhaps, put a gas or smoke in there to smoke the person out, but we haven't got confirmation of that, what exactly caused that green. But you can see how it broke the window. And again, we never saw any movement. We never saw any activity. So whoever was in there endured, that smoke 3 times.
And that's the thing too. In
that
with
wheel's
cabs
picking
like
up
these,
speed,
sometimes there
though.
could be a second
Seriously.
person in there. And Sheriff Gonzalez even saying that it's still possible someone else may be in there. We don't know, but he did say at least one person tried to evade police. We continue to see the drone there. The drone is no longer on the passenger side of this 18-wheeler. It's somewhat retracted at this point, but I mean, the most intense portion of this viewpoint right now is certainly that SWAT team member at the top of this armored vehicle. Inside of that armored vehicle, we have several other members of the SWAT team there as well. So they are looking to bring this thing to an end as peacefully as possible, but this has been everything but, as this began as an officer simply trying to do okay, here we go.
Wow.
Okay, this is another piece of machinery being used. We've seen this used on houses and front doors before, as we've covered this. SWAT team now moving in, throwing in another foreign object.
Well, damn, if they
potentially
could do
a gas
that
of some sort to try to get this person to come out of this semi.
The wheel stops spinning.
We're waiting to see. Okay, we're seeing smoke coming out of the
Smoke
window
now coming out.
So another effort to smoke the person
Yo, shout out to
out.
the 600 in here.
You know, they're really taking every
I
step
love you
they
guys.
can
Thank
to
you
keep
so
everybody
much.
safe. And
Horrible
hoping
situation.
That, you know,
Horrible.
they could smoke whoever is
But
in
thank
there
you
out.
for being here.
But we're not seeing any movement at all.
Over 1 million people have put Super Beats blood pressure support supplements to the test. And the number
of this incident that took place, we now have, this is the most movement we have seen in the advancement of law enforcement to try to get this driver to come out. 2.5 hours later, this is the scene. This person is completely surrounded. We have officers on the other side of I-10, behind the truck. We have that officer again on top of the armored vehicle with his weapon drawn. Several other members of the SWAT team inside of that armored vehicle as well. We have the robot on the ground, and you just saw that much larger piece of machinery really put a hole inside of the front portion of this cab, and we see the smoke coming out at this hour.
And we continue to see that wheel spin that we've been seeing spin for more than an hour since this vehicle has been stopped. You know, this comes after that SWAT officer that's, you know, on top of the SWAT vehicle.
Well, thank you,
Right
Lieutenant.
just off the screen, fired
Rock
multiple
me.
shots
Gabe,
right
there you are.
into the front windshield of the cab, and now we're seeing that piece of apparatus come in
No,
again.
thank
It
you.
looks like
I
they're gonna try
appreciate
and
you either
burst
way.
through the
Like I said,
window,
whether you like me or not,
passenger side
I
window,
appreciate everybody in here.
to
Love
create
yous all.
another opening.
Individually.
So they can get a
separate
better
ways.
view.
Yeah,
That's,
rip
it's
that
been
thing
hard for
apart.
them to see.
He should have
into
just
the
gave him a
cab
McFlurry
because
and
the
a
green,
cheesesteak. I guarantee he would have came
smoke,
out.
You know, really turned that window green, and it looks like they're really at this point just kind of tearing
Ripping
out
it.
the door.
This has the ability to tear
Yeah.
and rip anything really. I've seen it used on homes. I've seen it used on cars. That seems to be like a blanket.
Okay.
Maybe a blanket
Yeah,
of
it's
some
called a
sort, but there
door
is not
panel.
many places, not much place for this person to go. This guy has got to make a decision here.
He already
The
made
smoke
the
wasn't
decision.
enough.
Yeah, pouring that out, and,
This dude ain't coming
hopefully
out.
once the smoke clears, we'll be able to see a little bit about what's going on in there.
Yeah, right.
And again, you see the SWAT team member, weapon drawn.
And the sheriff is speaking. Let's see if we can listen into the sheriff.
And we'll update you all as soon as possible.
And like you said, it sounds
Thanks, Gonzalez.
the tactical team is breaking into the cab. Is that something that you can speak to? Something that's like atypical? Are they trying to figure out what's in there?
I mean, obviously, ultimately, we need to get into the cab, or that's where the focus is right now, because that's where the driver's at. So, you know, again, it's an active scene. So while I've been here, I don't know.
West
the
Coast,
latest,
yeah, they
and
should've.
frankly, I leave that up to our trained professionals that are excellent at what they do and trained for all kind of scenarios.
Unfortunately,
so I really can't speak to what they're trying to
my
do or
peeps,
what they would do. Simply because for
I'm
safety
not
of
sure.
everybody involved, got to let them
At this
execute whatever
point,
they're doing.
I'm
But
thinking
I'm not
yeah.
aware of what they're doing at this moment.
Just to clarify, where was the intersection?
I was told Freeport and East Freeway outbound.
Okay, so you were just getting a little bit of an update again from Sheriff Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff's Office, which has been, they've been on the front, you know, on point for handling this incident. There have been other
Poor bastard.
Baytown Police and some others that have also responded.
Just
but the
trying to
sheriff's,
deliver some furniture.
office is on point on this, and we just basically saw this apparatus, kind of tear out the passenger side door of the cab. I just walked over, Anthony, to the screen to see if I could see inside that cab, any better, but it's dark in there. We're sort of seeing a lot of wreckage of, what the apparatus was able to kind of pull out. We saw what looks like maybe a blanket or some fabric that was pulled out. But we haven't seen any movement inside the cab.
You ain't going to.
It's been hard to see through the windows, not just for us, but for the officers out there. They've had, a robot approach right up to the window to see what was going on. And you can see there's still a SWAT officer on top of that SWAT vehicle with his scope, set on that front windshield as they're still trying to determine whether this person is a threat in any way or whether they might be incapacitated. We just haven't
you're
seen
right,
any
though.
movement.
It's crazy.
So
because they got more open
and
spaces.
That was our Abigail Dye who asked that question of Sheriff Ed Gonzalez there as they try to continue to get some more details. So let's go to Abigail. I want to hear what she
Might be a
has to say
deterrent.
and her assessment of
Who
what
knows?
was said. Abigail, can you hear us?
Inside looking out.
Yes, I can. Well, Gonzalez just got off of this press conference that he gave us, and he gave us a lot of information about how this all started. It
I don't
really
think anything deters
wasn't this
somebody
huge
from
climactic situation. Obviously, we're
turning
experiencing the
into an
climax
asshole.
right now. This whole chase just started about 5 miles from where we are near Freeport Street.
Absolutely.
And it
You know what?
moved
I
westbound to where we are
somewhat
now.
agree.
And, Sheriff Gonzalez, I know that you have been keeping, Anthony and Heather, you guys are keeping an eye on our Eye in the Sky, and we saw tactical units trying to break into the cab of this 18-wheeler, and Gonzalez said that he can't really comment exactly on what those tactical units are doing right now because he was standing right here as that was happening, but he says they're just trying everything they can to de-escalate this in a safe way. They're using that robot, they're using non-lethal force and shots, and they're just trying to get this driver who's still in that cab to come out safely and peacefully. And so they're just trying all these different tactics. We'll show you a bit of the scene here behind us. Like I said, this started just about 5 miles away. Gonzalez says this chase, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like this 18-wheeler was going 50 or 80 miles an hour like we've seen in the past with these 18-wheeler chases. This was just a slow progression. And as they continued to chase this 18-wheeler here on I-10, they ended up deploying those spikes, which stopped the truck. It came off to the left side of the lane, as we've been seeing from the helicopter, and now we are fully surrounded. And like I said, Gonzalez says we're just continuing to use these different tactics, and they don't know who this driver is, but a little bit about the behavior of the driver. Heather, I know I heard you say that we could see that front wheel continuing to spin. That was the driver revving the engine. So apparently this driver continues to be putting his foot on the gas. And at this point, authorities and officers, everyone out here, they don't want this 18-wheeler to take back off. They don't want this car, this vehicle back on the road because of obvious reasons. I mean, it's a huge vehicle. It could be very dangerous. And we don't know the intentions or the mind state of this driver at this point.
No, there is
and
real consequences, Mr. Dick.
We asked Gonzalez
if
we know anything about this driver, if we know anything about this company, the truck that this driver is driving. And they say at this point they don't. They don't know why he didn't stop for police. Police initially tried to stop this 18-wheeler because it was stalled out.
Led to this.
And so, like I said, it started
shout out to
very
the 860.
slowly,
Thank you so much. I love you guys. Don't know you, but I love you.
To Abigail's point, we don't know who the driver is yet. They just told
us
the
girls,
only descriptor they have is male, and they believe either a white or Hispanic male. Is that? Did they say anything further, Abigail?
No, nothing further about the description. No age, nothing like that. But like you said, Heather, white or Hispanic male, we're not exactly
major
sure.
lawsuit.
Like
they
I
start
said,
talking to anybody
why
now.
This person, why he decided to run from police, why he decided to run from authorities. But at this point, they're just hoping that he's not armed, that there's nothing dangerous inside this 18-wheeler, and this situation doesn't escalate any more than it has.
You never know.
Abigail, this is Anthony. Have you got a chance to see anyone just kind of maybe working at
Never
some
know.
nearby, or have you had a chance to speak to anyone that you may have seen that's not associated with the active investigation, but more so?
Here we go again.
Anthony, not at this point. I mean, I'll show you what I can see here. Obviously, right here is a hotel. We've seen just a couple, as you can see, someone's coming out to videotape what's going on right now. We've seen just a couple of people in and out of the hotel, mostly workers. But, you know, everyone out here knows just about as much as we do. But we'll go ahead and send it back to you for right now.
Yeah, so we're watching
We're going to lift the cab right off of that frame.
I don't even know what to call this thing.
Thing has enough power.
It's again tearing out more of the side.
Wait till I drop the Terran
passenger
Green
side of the cab.
video.
But we still haven't been able to get a good look. It's dark inside to see, you know, a look at this driver or what seems to be happening beyond the passenger side of the cab. But they continue to tear out more of this, you know, basically the metal.
You're absolutely right.
And some of the things that were in the passenger side. You can see some of the debris there on the ground, the blue, some sort of fabric or blanket or something. So they just keep kind of widening this opening in an effort. And you can see the robot, it's still got its, you know, eye, if you will, poised, looking into the cab, giving the officers a look at what's going on inside. And because it's dark, we can't see from our perspective
they checked it out.
What may be happening,
I don't know
if anything
exactly
at all.
what they did or didn't
And this
find,
has
but
really
they did check
escalated
it.
up until this point. By all accounts, officers have tried multiple ways to get this guy out of this cab, and this is the point we're at now. So give you guys a quick recap.
That's a touchy subject,
If you can imagine this for a second.
That whole situation.
This is the passenger side of the cab. Before, we believe that there were multiple shots shot into this cab, and there was a green smoke that came out of it. If you look at the top of the cab, you can see the remnants of that green smoke. When that happened, no movement from the driver. That man decided not to come out. From there,
I didn't even think of that.
Multiple units from the SWAT team show up on scene. We also captured the moment. A chopper landed on I-10. We saw a member of SWAT hop out with a sense of urgency, rush to the scene, and then we started to see more black unmarked cars show up to the scene as well. And then we had at least a dozen members of the SWAT team there. Then we started to see these armored trucks show up as well. That is the armored truck here, directly in front of that semi, where you have one of the SWAT team members. You see him right here, weapon drawn. You've seen him fire multiple
I did it all.
Shots into the cab, not bullets. I want to be clear. They are still using non-lethal force here, but he has fired his weapon at least twice into the front portion of the windshield of this 18-wheeler. Still, no movement from the driver.
It ain't gonna do that.
That is when we started to see this piece of machinery here at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. They are using that apparatus to then first, what they did, if you see this American flag on the decal, they put a hole right there. That was the main point of entry first, and they tossed in some gas, a gas of some sort. Still, again, no movement from the driver. That is when this larger apparatus was brought in, and it has now ripped out the passenger side of this 18-wheeler at this very moment. But again, still, no movement from the driver. Now, this
they
piece
had
of machinery
contact with the guy,
has
so
a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
capabilities. It can pretty much rip out the entire portion of this truck. So, but again, the SWAT team members are still trying to figure out. I do want to make note here, what we can't tell you from this vantage point in the chopper
Is that right, Bobby?
is what's being
Thank
said.
you.
We do know members of the SWAT team obviously are there, but there are negotiators there as well. So what we can't provide you with is an understanding of that means of communication, if in fact there is communication happening directly between law enforcement and the driver of this semi.
Could be.
This is now, was it 3:49 in the afternoon? So we are approaching
3
a
hours.
3-hour mark.
We're getting
of
laughed
this
at horrible
standoff.
right now. It's
A
disgusting.
lot of things happening.
And the tactical machines going in again to try and create
Well, you know,
a little more of a viewpoint.
He didn't
For them
want to do this
get an
in Philly.
assessment of what's
They'd have
happening
blew the
inside.
thing up
And if
by
you've
now.
ever been in one of these cabs, you know, you've got your sort of your driver and passenger
Robbed it.
section that you can
Everything
see there
would
in
have
the
been out of the
front,
back
and
of
then
the
they
truck.
often have kind of like a sleeper cabin or another part of the cab where people can also be. And so that's, you know, sort of been the question from the get-go is all we know is there, you know, the driver they've described as a male, either white or Hispanic. That's the only descriptor we've gotten. And they don't know whether there's a possibility of anyone else being either in this cab or perhaps in the truck or anything like that.
That's what
we
I
just
don't
don't know.
If they
And so
would have
they're
let the
being
dogs
extremely
in there
careful,
already,
you know,
I don't
trying
know.
to get a better view. That's been the challenge out here since this the spike strips were laid
only
out and they
problem
were
with
able
that
to stop this.
is
They
that
just haven't
I
been
don't wanna
able
see
to
no dogs
see
get
very
hurt.
well what's going on inside this cab. When the 3 puffs of green smoke came out of the cab earlier, you know, that helped to turn what was the passenger side window green, and part of the window was broken, and so you couldn't see into it once that happened.
Oh, no.
And from our vantage point, and while Skyfox is giving us an excellent view right over the scene, it's still with, you know, shadowing and darkness in the cab. It's been very hard to see, you know, inside to see exactly what's going on. Again, we just haven't seen any movement.
Well, you know what, though? We're going to see everything here in a second because this piece of machine is going to rip this entire
Flip it over, the kind
As I'm
says.
trying to look closely here, it looks like there was even a TV inside of the back of this cab. Now you see another aggressive move here.
Oh, that's a good
the
flat
member
screen.
of law
What are
enforcement
they doing?
controlling this apparatus the SWAT team frequently uses whenever they're trying to make entry into any given point, whether it be a semi in this
I know a
situation
guy.
or even a house. We've seen them use this as well. So that's what's happening on this side, but also don't please pay attention of what's happening here at the top of the top of the SWAT at the top of the armored vehicle right here. So we're paying attention to that as well.
And if I'm correct, Anthony, this apparatus that is breaking into the truck now, they're operating that remotely.
Yes, they're. Oh, okay. I thought I saw. I believe
Shout out to
someone might
the
be in that.
1025 up in this piece. Thank you. I love you, Stool.
Yeah, I believe it's
the
armored for
best.
sure.
Okay.
And if you're familiar with these cabs, a lot of times in the back portion here you have beds. So this is what we see being ripped out here. A bed. I saw a television earlier as well.
I saw a
So this
PlayStation,
driver, this guy
an
doesn't have
Xbox.
far to go. Like this, there's not many places you can go inside of this cab. So we're going to see this thing come to an end here relatively soon.
You think?
In terms of the semi itself, it is design transportation. If you realize, if that may not ring a bell,
Yes.
we made some phone calls because we wanted to know, like, who is
crazy,
the driver of this cab? Where did this truck come from? It's out of Dallas, Texas. We placed the call to the company. The company is
Straight
saying no
up,
comment.
Susie.
But we obviously don't know if this person may have been contracted through the company or if they were employed full-time by them. We can't
Or
speak
if
to
it
the
was
specifics
stolen
there.
or
Or if it was
what.
stolen.
Yeah, we
Yes,
don't
Heather,
know.
that is a great point. We don't know if it was stolen. So this is what we continue to witness here in real time with you as Skyfox is over the scene here on I-10 eastbound, as this was, according to police, a traffic hazard where a member of the constable's unit tried to initiate a traffic stop because they saw something that was potentially a traffic hazard, making things dangerous. And when they tried to initiate that traffic stop, that is when the driver of the semi, according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, led police on a chase. But he was deliberate by saying that it was at a low rate of speed. Nevertheless, officers were able to use spike strips. And if you look at the very front portion of the 18-wheeler, you can see down to the rim, bare. But we also continue to see some more information being given to us because of that press conference from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez.
Thank you,
And
Gabriel.
I believe Heather
Appreciate
Abigail
you, bro.
She's
Seriously.
got some more information.
Started off a little rocky,
The
but
suspect, Abigail.
I think we can get past that.
Yes, Heather, so we can't really speak to his mental state, but as for his physical state, I was just talking to a sergeant here. I was wondering, you know, if he's still alive, and the sergeant says that he is indeed alive at this point.
You guys
Nothing has
rock.
gone out
Thank
on the
you so
radios
much.
indicating that our suspect
Can't even keep up with
has
you guys.
died during this altercation
I
because,
wouldn't
you
doubt
know,
it.
I mean, we did have those projectiles fired, and while they were non-lethal, you never know how something like that can end up. And just being in this state and revving the engine and sitting in that cab for so long, we don't know where this man's health is. So we went ahead and we spoke to the sergeant, and he told us that at this point that that suspect is still alive and is still in the cab of that truck.
That's stunning. It's stunning to hear that someone could still be alive and enduring the situation.
And there's not much room in the back of these cabs. If you're not familiar with these cabs, I've been in a couple of them. There is some room in the back where there's usually a bed. You might find a small microwave or something like that. But most of that has been ripped out. by the SWAT team as they use this apparatus here at the bottom portion of your screen. And you see the bed there on I-10. And as Abigail was mentioning, you continue to see that one wheel with the smoke coming from it because there is still gas, you know, the engine being revved up at this point, even though the front portion of the wheels are down to the rim. We have seen this SWAT team member fire multiple shots. Again, they're still using non-lethal force as they fire into the cab of this semi, and still
something's about to happen to
the guy inside.
And you know, I'm sure they're wrestling with a difficult question, and that is that if this is someone who is still alive and obviously needs medical attention, then, you know, that needs to be dealt with. But at the same time, they can't risk, you know, the safety. Okay, now we're seeing more SWAT officers approaching with guns drawn, and the canine officer.
Five. Again, we aren't sure if these are bullets or another form of non-lethal shots. The canine now being
is inside.
These clowns.
Okay, and we're watching the canine in the cab now.
The driver obviously in the driver's side.
We are no longer showing you a live image of this just because we're not sure what's going to happen.
But I still want to give you guys an idea. Paint this picture. Walk with me here for a second. We have at least 7 members of the SWAT team. A canine unit is inside of the vehicle as well, the cab. We have another member of the SWAT team moving into the back portion of the cab. We have 2 members of the SWAT team inside of the cab, several others on the driver's side as well. The canine in there, at any moment now, they're going to be taking this guy out. We have at least a dozen members of the SWAT team now surrounding this cab on the driver and passenger side. The canine has also made contact with that individual.
And you know, their guns drawn, but they're all surrounding the cab very closely now, and we're expecting to see at any moment, you know, perhaps some sort of image of the person who's been in there. Right now, all we can see is several officers. Some are like kind of, you know, just on the very edge or outside of the cab leaning into it. There's like 3 on the driver's side and 4 on the passenger side. They have pulled the canine officer out. The canine officer is outside and back on the ground. But so it's the officers now that are kind of, you know, climbing up into the cab, and we don't know whether they're dealing with someone who is still alive. That was what we were just hearing from Abigail, who spoke with the sergeant on the scene, that their assumption is this person is potentially still alive, but perhaps under some sort of medical situation. You know, we just know, as you can see there on the screen, that wheel has been churning since the stop of the chase happened, since the spike strip. So we know that something has got pressure on the gas pedal, whether it's an incapacitated driver or something else, or intentionally, we don't know. But it's been spinning consistently for more than an hour. And you can see they're still
now they are
ripping more out of the cab.
That potentially might even be the drive. I mean, we're trying to give you guys the best. Okay, this is the driver being ripped out of the cab. There he is on the floor.
He's on the ground.
It's the Terminator.
You see the members of the SWAT team.
They're surrounding him.
They're surrounding him. He's on the ground. Imagine some handcuffs here will be, or zip ties will be put on him at any second now.
Boy, they
but
can
as
call
we approach the 4 o'clock hour at 3:58, a chase that began close to 1 o'clock here this afternoon has now come to an end as members of the SWAT team have moved in and have extracted the driver of the semi that has led police on a chase. And according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, it was moving at a slow rate of speed, but nevertheless, they had to make an assessment of what was taking place here because an 18-wheeler, obviously is a very dangerous piece of machinery on the highway. And I-10, if you live in Houston, if you're familiar with that area, it's a very, very high traffic area. So they made the assessment to throw down the spike strips, stop this cab from moving.
I don't know, mother trucking.
We are now at 4 o'clock pretty much, and 3 hours later, this has now come to an end. And again, more so, I should say also being in, you know, covering stories like these, this could have ended in a very different way.
Very different way. They really kind of tiptoed their way up to this point, you know, using a robot, using that tactical piece of equipment there on the left side of your screen. You know, really kind of were very careful about approaching this cab. And again, so now we're seeing the medical team responding with a stretcher. So we expect to be able to see a little bit better view. There's a suspect and
He's
walking. I'm stunned.
Face bloodied.
Barely.
But walking. And again, when the Sheriff Ed Gonzalez made some statements in regards to his condition, they said he was driving erratically.
Yes,
you know,
and that was,
I think the company might.
On the roads driving erratically, and that's what
think he lost his
forced him
job?
to make initiate the spike strips. But,
and why they've had to deal with this so delicately.
Yes.
The sheriff said because of that erratic driving, they just never knew who they were dealing with or what situation they were dealing with. And so, you know, this man has endured, you know, the green smoke, the firing of non-lethal shots into the cab, the tactical equipment ripping out, shaking that cab, you know, back and forth, ripping out. Can you imagine being inside that cab with that kind of violence
Shout out to everybody
happening
in here.
around
Thank you
and
so
that
much.
man is
I
walking.
appreciate
And
you,
there's a
Zol.
sheriff right there, Sheriff Ed
For
Gonzalez,
real.
the bottom of your screen.
Zol
I just saw
rock.
him take a picture. I assume he's going to put out a tweet here in a second to let the public know that this has now come to an end.
Yeah.
But by all means, hats off to members of law enforcement who not only saw this as a potential issue on
Think they're going to
I-10
dock his pay.
eastbound earlier today, but also their ability to see this
Very,
through here at 4
very.
o'clock for this
Mother
to come
trucking,
to an end
very.
where that driver was still able to walk out of that cab alive, because we have seen situations like these play out many different ways, and no member of law enforcement were hurt, and although this gentleman here will receive medical care, this could have been a very different end to his day here in Harris County.
And while we continue to watch this very dramatic scene unfold, again for our viewers, traffic has been shut down now for more than 2 hours on I-10 eastbound and westbound. And again, this is at the cross street.
Sheldon, I believe. Sheldon.
And this is in the Channelview area. So it's been completely shut down. You know, people on the roads, you know, perhaps returning from where they were over the holidays or getting back into their work routines. Traffic has been shut down both directions for a couple of hours. Very backed up. We imagine the backups have to be for miles. And even, you know, some traffic on feeder roads has kind of been slow and intermittent because they've really been using the feeder roads right next to this as a staging area. And so they've been advising and asking any drivers to try and avoid the area if at all possible. And I imagine this is, you know, even though we're seeing this result, it's still going to be a little while before they're able to wrap up this scene and complete their investigation.
Yeah, and to think this all started at around 12:51 here this afternoon. According to police, an officer on duty
he definitely had something in there. I'm not going to sit here and speculate, but
driving erratically.
there was a reason why they didn't send them
hazard,
dogs
so they
in
tried to initiate
ahead
that
of
traffic
time.
stop. But that's when the driver of this 18-wheeler led them on a chase. The sheriff saying that it was at a slow rate of speed, but nevertheless, this is a 18-wheeler, a very large piece of machinery, so they threw down some spike strips. This chase coming to an end at I-10 eastbound near Sheldon. And that is when, at around 2 o'clock, 2:30, we started to see officers take strategic positions as they tried to not only assess the scene, but figure out the best way for this to come to an end. After about an hour after that, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we started to see members of the SWAT team arrive there, make their own assessments, take over the strategy, it seems, as far as I can tell. They kind of led the movement forward. And then that's where we are now. We now have the driver of this 18-wheeler inside of the semi here. Police say they aren't sure if he was simply impaired here today or if there was some criminal background that we are unaware of that encouraged him or made him think, at least, that it was a smart idea to try to get away from police in this 18-wheeler.
Yeah, or if there was a medical situation that may have led to all of this, we don't know.
Yeah.
Again, you know, we've called the name of the trucking company that's listed on the side of the truck, but they said no comment. And the sheriff's office said that they had reached out to them as well, as they're trying to figure out, you know, what has led up to all of this. But we want to, we're going to be showing you very shortly kind of a recap, if you're just joining us, of some of the video of the drama unfolding out here. But you can see right now, so there's a live picture of the, on the right side of your screen, that's a live picture of the ambulance that the driver is now in. But this was video from earlier. This was, see the green smoke coming out of the cab? We don't know whether that initiated from inside the cab. We're kind of believing that it was probably officers firing, you know, a gas.
To the live one. Mother trucker, you're right, man. Sorry, guys. I've been moving around trying to get you, you know, the best that I can get you. I got some rerun shit on the other thing, but I'm not going over there. Yo, shout out to everybody who stopped in here. I really do appreciate everyone. I'm not ending the stream. I'm just trying to say thank you. I appreciate you all. I really do. Everyone that commented, everybody that stopped in, I really, really appreciate you all. My man, Mother Trucker. Hey, shout out to them, for real. They did check it. I'm not sure, you know, what they came across or whatever. Mr. Dick, thank you. You rock, man. Thank you so much. You have no clue what that means to me. You have no idea. Thank you. Happy New Year, Hugo. Sorry. I'm messing around over here trying to get you guys the best shots. I hope not inside. This was a wild one for sure. Melody, Happy New Year. Thank you. Yeah, they do, Mall Trucker. Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? I mean, what drives people to do this shit? You never know. Getting that trailer out of there quick. I don't think they gave a shit, Mary. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't think. That's right. This is wild. There we go. Gonzalez is going to give us an update.
Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff. Just a quick update. Just before 4 p.m., our SWAT team members had to physically go into the driver's compartment of the truck and physically pull him out. They tried numerous things, deploying gas, deploying less lethal, verbal commands, gave him every option to come. He remained resistant the entire time, did not answer any commands or anything like that. So at some point, they had to physically position themselves as safely as possible to extract him out. They've extracted him out. Still don't know why he was acting in the erratic manner that he was.
The 18-wheeler and the whole scene that happened there on I-10 this afternoon.
It does appear to be some heavy impairment, but I'll let them kind of make those determinations there just from the naked eye. That's what it appears to me. The back of the container truck is empty. They're going to pull the truck off right now so they could inspect it a little bit further, but there's nothing inside the container itself, and that's the information that we have right now. Lo tuvimos que sacar físicamente porque el tipo no quiso obedecer ninguna orden. Todas las estrategias que intentamos no tuvieron efecto, entonces lo tuvimos que sacar. Checamos la camioneta, la traila, no había nada de individuos ni nada de mercancía ni nada, entonces vamos a sacar la traila para inspectarlo un poco mejor. We do have a heavy-duty wrecker en route right now that's staged to get it moved off quickly so we could deal with the traffic mobility issues. We also had EMS on the scene, so they were able to move quickly to try to tend to the male as well to make sure that he's okay, or to check him out, see if he's got any medical needs. But he's being tended to. He is alive. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. None of our deputies got hurt. So great job by our SWAT team members and everybody out here on the scene.
Armas?
No hemos encontrado armas. Vamos a sacar la traila para inspectarlo un poco mejor. The question was asked if there were any weapons. None that we know of immediately. We're going to pull the trailer off to a more safe location so we could inspect it more fully and determine what we have or what we're dealing with. I'm not sure. We did have to move a canine in there. They did have to physically remove him out. He was holding on. It appeared that he was still in a driving motion, still revving up the engine, appearing like he was driving. So, but just had to get him out physically. And so I don't know what injuries he may have sustained, if those were self-inflicted or from the less lethal that may have struck him. Or from some of the physical contact that they may have had with him, or from the dog itself. Yeah, we're working right now as we speak. The team's trying to get the truck out, so I do hear traffic finally moving, so we're happy about that. So I'm not sure which side is moving, but hopefully we could get traffic moving here shortly. Sí, estamos intentando en este momento ya de abrir las carreteras para que pueda moverse el tráfico. Obviamente nuestras disculpas por el impacto en el tráfico, pero es parte de lo que tenemos que hacer en estas circunstancias para tratar de resolverlo de una manera segura para todos.
And you said there were no weapons found. Anything else suspicious or off-putting around?
No weapons found in our initial search. Doesn't mean that there's not something under the seat or anything like that. Our main thing was just to get them out safely, secure them, try to make sure that we could contain the scene better. The truck will be moved off the roadway so we could better inspect to see if weapons were in the mix in this, or what else was at play. So, but none that were visible at a cursory look from any of the observations made by SWAT deputies.
La identidad.
Never know,
no
man.
sé todavía,
Never
no he
know.
confirmado exactamente. No pude ver, tenía sangre, no sé si es parece ser o hispano o
He just had enough.
un anglosajón.
¿Las heridas eran de él o...?
No sabemos si tuvimos que poner un canine, un perro dentro de la troca. También físicamente lo tuvimos que sacar. No sé si las heridas fueron del mismo que se golpeó, se pegó, o de una de las balas que no son
that makes it
fatales,
okay.
son más de plástico. No sabemos si lo haya herido a él.
At this point, do we know if he was driving that for the company or if it was stolen?
Not sure. We haven't confirmed that at this point. We wanted to obviously just resolve this as quickly as possible, and all those questions will be answered now. And
an update to the situation that has been happening on the East Freeway, saying that they do suspect that the driver of the big rig was impaired in some way, and he has been taken away from the truck, being transported by EMS.
That's
You
the
see
truth.
there. The sheriff also saying that truck will be removed from the interstate and further inspected, but as of right now, they didn't find anything in the container. Again, they are going to investigate this further, and he says a wrecker is on the way to get traffic moving again.
On the
Stay
way.
with us for the
They already
latest
got it
updates
hooked up
online
down
and on our app. Moving along now to wrapping up our Living in the Lone Star Holiday Home Edition. You at home, well, if you're staying tuned right now, you are in for a real
check, so that'll be part of it. And we don't know if he's maybe possibly one.
With such a large and powerful vehicle, that is what, sort of set off all of these events, that erratic driving. They weren't sure who they were dealing with or what the issue was. And again, as we've been showing you, they were able to pull him out, and he was actually able to walk, and is now, so let's listen in and get a little bit more. Okay, we'll continue
None
to
that we know of immediately.
monitor.
We're going to pull the trailer off to a more safe location so we can inspect it more fully and determine what we have or what we're dealing with.
It did kind of look like he had blood on his face and neck when he was arrested. Was he hit by those non-legals or possibly the canine?
I'm not sure. We did have to move a canine in there. They did have to physically remove him out. He was holding on. It appeared that he was still in a driving motion, still revving up the engine, appearing like he was driving. So
Yeah, right.
But
man, I
just
hope
had
not,
to get him out
trucker.
physically, and so I don't know what injuries he may have sustained, if those were
company
self-inflicted
meetings.
or from the less lethal that may have
Over
struck
other
him,
people's shit.
or from some of the physical contact that they may have had with him, or from the dog itself.
Sure, we're live right now. One side of the highway is back open, the other side's still here.
Yeah, we're working right now as we speak. The team's trying to get the truck out, so I do hear traffic finally moving, so we're happy about that. So I'm not sure which side is moving, but hopefully we could get traffic moving here shortly.
He's right, Melody. He is
Sí,
right.
estamos intentando en este momento ya de abrir las carreteras para que pueda moverse el tráfico. Obviamente nuestras disculpas por el impacto en el tráfico, pero es parte de lo que tenemos que hacer en estas circunstancias para tratar de resolverlo de una manera segura para todos.
And you said there were no
No weapons found in our initial search. Doesn't mean that there's not something under the seat or anything like that. Our main thing was just to get them out safely, secure them, try to make sure that we could contain the scene better. The truck will be moved off the roadway so we could better inspect to see if weapons were in the mix in this, or what else was at play. So, but none that were visible at a cursory look from any of the observations made by SWAT deputies.
Hey, seriously.
No sé todavía, no me han confirmado exactamente. No pude ver, tenía sangre, no sé si es parece ser o hispano o un anglosajón.
¿Y esas heridas eran de él o...?
No sabemos si tuvimos que poner un canine, un perro dentro de la troca. También físicamente lo tuvimos que sacar. No sé si las heridas fueron del mismo que se golpeó, se pegó, o de una de las balas que no son fatales, son más de plástico. No sabemos si lo haya herido a él.
At this point, do we know if he was driving that truck for the company or if it was stolen?
Not sure. No, we haven't confirmed that at this point.
Man.
We wanted to obviously just resolve this as quickly as possible, and all those questions will be answered now, and who he is and what happened, what led to this.
¿Qué puede enfrentar una persona que haga este tipo de cosas?
Pues depende, no sé de qué estaba huyendo, no sé si tenga antecedentes, no sé si era una persona que hemos estado buscándolo por alguna cosa, o también solamente por huir de las autoridades puede cargar cargos de felonía también. Entonces eso lo vamos a tratar de resolver, y depende también si estaba trasladando algo de narcóticos o algo que no hemos visto inmediatamente.
Sheriff, is there any chance this driver can face any kind of charges?
Oh, absolutely. I think that he'll be facing some type of charge. What it is, it just kind of depends. Anything from evading, obviously, to depending if he had anything in cargo that was invisible to the naked eye right now that we'll be able to check. So that'll be part of it. And we don't know if he's maybe possibly wanted for something or impaired as well.
How challenging was this entire incident to resolve?
It's very challenging. Our team, I was talking to them briefly because every scene is a different component. This one, it was like an 18-wheeler, but we've had things anywhere from bridges over the Port of Houston to vehicles to residences. So they try to prepare as much as they can with all types of things. Y'all may have seen the Rook pass through here, or equipment that's been very valuable and successful many times. So it's a combination of a lot of things. And again, like I said earlier, I trust our team to make sound decisions, as they did once again under difficult circumstances. And so it was a very challenging scene, especially because he continued to resist even with deployment of gas. Most times, most people with that, it's pretty toxic. They're going to come out pretty quickly. Didn't seem to phase him.
And this is an 18-wheeler.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very powerful vehicle if he was behind the wheel and revving that engine. So, however, it came to this. I'm glad we were able to intervene, because if he would have remained on the roadway, other people could have been in serious risk had we not tried to contain it as best we could. Again, under challenging circumstances. So kudos to all first responders, our deputies, Lieutenant Calhoun and Sergeant Carrizales, that was the first one on the scene. Great job by them and our SWAT team as well. And we obviously thank the business as well. We know that they were impacted, especially those along the feeder. Sure. Any quick follow, just closing questions, so then I'll move to another. Yeah. He's remained unresponsive the whole time, didn't answer to commands. That's what I'm saying. Just at from the naked eye, it appears to be some level of impairment. We don't know what the issue is, but never really responded. We gave him multiple commands and spoke to him to no avail.
And real quick, if you could just speak to the manpower that's out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no,
sure.
we also are working closely with our Precinct 3 constables out here, assisting with traffic mobility. Obviously, the patrol deputies are out here. We have SWAT in place. We have K9. We had a wide array of personnel out here at the scene. So at approximately 1 p.m., one of our units spotted a vehicle that appeared to be parked in the middle of the main lanes outbound along Freeport at the East Freeway. At that time, didn't know quite what he had. It could have been just a medical emergency of some kind, or what we often refer to as a traffic hazard, just blocking the roadway, impacting traffic. When he turned on his overheads, the vehicle, the truck, the driver proceeded to drive forward, didn't go at a high rate of speed, continue forward, and then when he started doing some evasive action, changing multiple lanes, of swerving in and out of different lanes, the alert, just safety risk went up higher. They did try to deploy some spikes. They were successful, immobilizing at least two of the tires, but the driver continued moving forward. Eventually came to a rest here just east of Sheldon on the outbound main lanes. We attempted numerous things, from less lethal weapon to eventually smoke, canine, verbal commands, negotiation, to no avail. He appeared to be behind the wheel, just appearing to be in a glaze, just revving the truck like if he was still driving. And we were concerned that he would perhaps eventually go forward and continue to wreak more havoc or put more people at risk. So we had a very challenging situation, because we could potentially have a moving situation along the roadway. So eventually we're able to be successful in gaining entry into the cab and eventually physically pulling him out. So at about 4 o'clock it was finally resolved, and that's what we have right now. And then we'll kind of determine from the aftermath what led to all this. Not yet. It appears to be either Hispanic male or white male. We don't know if he's the actual driver of the truck or the company and all that. All that will be worked out, and obviously he'll be ID'd. So as soon as we get that information, we'll share it in terms of his name and any charges that are applicable.
Any idea what? I mean, obviously there was a lot behind this. Any idea why he did this?
No idea. Don't know if he may have been wanted for something, if there was some kind of criminal nexus to this. The trailer appeared to be empty. We don't know if there's any compartments or anything. We have Kana and others here on scene, so we'll look a little bit closer. Just from his unresponsiveness, the zero effect from the deployed gas and other things, could have been heavily impaired. Just from the naked eye, it appeared to have a high level of impairment, which again was scary that he was driving that and was on the roadways prior to us reaching him. But we'll kind of try to piece it together as best we can.
You said there was evasive maneuvers.
Yeah, he was swerving in and out of the traffic once we were behind him. He wasn't going in a straight line at some point. And so eventually, thankfully, he didn't travel too far. It was never a high rate of speed. And he was a straight shot all the way down, and eventually came to a stop here, I guess, after the spikes took effect on the tires, and he finally came to a stop. No property damage that we know of, other than the vehicle, the truck itself. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
You have been listening to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez with the Harris County Sheriff's Office give us the latest information on what we have been watching all afternoon, and we're going to go to Abigail Dye, who's been live there on the scene momentarily, to kind of get a recap. But just really some stunning images all afternoon, a stunning situation where this driver who they tried to pull over in this 18-wheeler continued to drive erratically. Let's go to Abigail Dye now, live on the scene for a look back at our events and what we're learning about the situation.
Well, Heather, we just got that update from Sheriff Gonzalez. We have some sirens behind us now. Looks like that is emergency medical. Probably, I mean, it could be possible that they're taking our suspect to go get checked out at this point. We did see some apparent blood on his head and neck area, so he's probably going to go get checked out. Gonzalez says that he doesn't have any life-threatening injuries at this point that they're aware of.
I'll see you on the next horrible
but yeah,
event,
we just got
mother
that
trucker.
debrief that they do
trucking.
have the suspect in
Sorry,
custody,
pal.
like we brought to you live in real time.
I appreciate everybody in here. I
We don't
appreciate
know
everybody
who
showed up.
He is. We don't know who this guy is.
Everyone.
We don't know why.
I wish I could
ran
check these all out.
from authorities, but Gonzalez does say that
I
he
really
seems
appreciate
to
everyone.
be inebriated in some sort of way. He can't confirm that totally, but he says that this man didn't seem to be in a perfect state of mind when they took him into custody. I mean, this guy was sitting in the cab of that truck for hours, continuing to rev his engine, and they even said that he was in a driving position when they pulled him out of the truck. I'm not sure if that means he thought he was still driving or what kind of state of mind this person was in when he was apprehended. But Gonzalez says that no one other than our suspect sustained any injuries. And again, that suspect just very minor injuries. No authorities here on scene were hurt. And at this point, they haven't found any weapons. They say there are no apparent weapons in the cab of that truck, which obviously that's really good news, because a scene like this, a situation like this, it could have ended very differently. So at this point, there's nothing nefarious that was apparent in the cab of that truck, but they did take that suspect into custody, luckily without any serious injuries. And again, this all started just about 5 miles away from here when the suspects, they say that the 18-wheeler was stalled out. And so authorities decided to try to make that traffic stop.
There it goes for its last ride.
It ended up here and obviously escalating to a very, very big situation.
What a shame.
Abigail, and it really has been stunning that, you know, this is a man who endured, and you're watching them pull the truck away now, but so he endured, you know, the spike strips and being pulled over. There was, you know, a green gas, a green smoke bombs that went off in the cab. There were non-lethal shots fired into the windshield. They started ripping out the windows and the doors, and a canine officer went in and was on him for a time. And he still remained there in the driver's seat.
I forget who it was.
As they were saying
it was a dry trailer.
Sort of
Shout out to you, thank you.
But still in that driving position, you know, trying to move forward.
Definitely pegged that one.
Gonzalez saying, quote, heavy impairment from his naked eye. So much more coming to you here on Fox 26. We have a link on our website.
Pretty much anybody's naked eye.
On exactly how this unfolded. There is a lot to digest because we've been following this since around 1:30 or so.
Shout out to the Buck 66 in here right now. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Please head to our website to get the details where you can see a timeline of what took place.
Look at this dog rolling up out of nowhere.
Of this situation that was just dramatic from start to finish. The good news in terms of traffic, we do know that the westbound lanes are free flowing yet again, and we just witnessed that trailer, that semi, be hauled off. So hopefully here in the next couple of minutes.
That's a good looking dog.
Free flowing I-10 eastbound.
Yeah, we do know that traffic has been, they basically shut off traffic on I-10 both directions for a couple of hours. And so the eastbound traffic, when we showed you earlier, it's backed up for miles. And they're still waiting to kind of clear the scene, as you can see, hoping to be able to get through. But again, go to fox26houston.com. You can see all of the dramatic video, a timeline of events, the latest information, and of course, we'll have the very latest for you here on Fox 26 News at 5 o'clock.
All right, have a great evening.
Oh, that's that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know what I mean? So, shout out to everybody who came in. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. You have no clue. Happy New Year. Wait. Oh, shit. We might. Hold on. We have a little something. Still going. I don't know. I'm going to sit here and make you all waste your time watching reruns and shit. You know what I mean? It's a little, I guess it's not. Yeah. Thought they were pulling it away already, though. Yeah. They're just going to rerun this shit. But anyways, I really appreciate everybody that came in here. I'm going to call this one. This is huge. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. Thank God this wasn't any worse than what it was. Yeah. Dude will get out in like, I don't know. They'll probably give him like 80 years or some shit. And maybe he'll be able to handle his life a little more correctly. I don't know. Who knows? What do we blame? Mental health here? I don't know. God bless, all the best. I look forward to seeing you all at the next horrible event. Take care. And if I don't see you or hear, talk to you, have a great new year. Be safe, everybody.